Helen, dear listeners, and a super double welcome back to our vibrant corner of YouTube. Oh, Mira's here, bubbling with enough energy to power a small island. And let me tell you, this week was a whirlwind. Well, I was at the grocery store, just picking out some mango, just because of mangoes, mind you, and the sun came on. A real salsa beat. Well, before I knew it, I was doing a little shimmy in the produce aisle. I was doing a double take. Oh wait, did a cooking show and display in a side spices that expires out of size that expires out of spices ice.
Mira, only you could turn a simple grocery run into a spice explosion and call it. I swear I half expect you to start offering gourmet scented hugs. Meanwhile, miling to find a coffee shop that actually opens before the sun, a coffee shop that actually opens before the sun is considering its second nap. I mean, I love my job, but my brain cells typically need a proper caffeine infusion before they're willing to collaborate. One morning, I'd swear the barista looked at me like I was asking for a unicorn latte. Wow. I just swear the barista looked at me like I was asking for a unicorn latte.
Oh, come on, Leo. A unicorn latte sounds amazing. I'd totally try that. But you're right, friends. We're not here to talk about my impromptu spice dance moves or Leo's valiant quest for coffee. We're here to whisk you away, virtually speaking, to two incredibly captivating places today, Barbados and Morocco. Wow. Are you dreaming of crystal clear waters and Caribbean rhythms, or are you drawn to the bustling silks and desert magic?
Indeed, Mira. And for anyone pondering Barbados or Morocco for their next big adventure, or even a small one, you've landed in the right spot. We're talking about everything from the sway of the palm trees to the scent of mint tea. This isn't just a casual chat, it's a deep dive. Oh, we'll tackle those tricky questions: which one feels safer? Where can you find the most vibrant nightlife? What about the cost of living if you're thinking of making a move or perhaps marrying into one of these cultures? Yes, we go there, because life's big decisions often start with where.
Absolutely, this podcast is your ultimate guide, especially if you're struggling with the either-or dilemma. We're here to illuminate every corner, from education opportunities to what it's like for solo female travelers. We want to help you make an informed choice, so you can pack your bags with confidence, knowing exactly what awaits you. And while you're getting all these amazing insights, remember to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. It's like giving us a virtual high five. Ooh!
High fives are welcome, as are your comments below. Seriously, tell us which country you're leaning towards, or if you've been to either. Share your wildest stories. We're always hungry for new material, insights. And of course, a huge thank you to Jet AI, our navigational compass for this journey. They're pretty much the reason we can keep bringing you these deep comparisons, so go check them out if you want to fly anywhere exotic or just need to escape Mira's dance-offs. This podcast is your passport to clarity.
Moving on from that delightful chat, let's dive into something a little more grounded, but just as crucial when we're thinking about New Horizons' general safety and crime rates. When I think of Barbados, I picture swaying palm trees and that laid-back island vibe, where the biggest crime is probably someone stealing your heart with a rum punch. Seriously though, it's known for being quite safe, especially in the tourist zones. The police there are very visible, almost like they're part of the welcoming committee, making sure everyone feels relaxed.
Oh, Mira, you make it sound like the police are handing out lays and telling knock-knock jokes. My observational skills tell me that even on a paradise island, not every sunset is crime-free. While Barbados definitely has a reputation for being safe, you still get those little bumps in the road, like opportunistic petty theft. It's like finding a single rope potato chip in an otherwise perfect bag, annoying but not world-ending. Now, Morocco, on the other hand, is a whole different spice market.
Oh, Leo, you and your vintage travel compass. I bet it's actually a souvenir from a dollar store. But you're right. Even in paradise, you can't leave your common sense on vacation. I always say, leave the drama at home, bring the laughter in the secure fanny pack. Whoa. In Barbados, it's generally safe, but like any tourist spot, keep an eye on your belongings. I heard a funny story about a local who accidentally picked up a tourist's identical beach bag and ended up with a whole different swimsuit.
That's almost as good as my story about accidentally swapping coffee cups at an airport and wondering why my espresso tasted like tears of disappointment. Oops! Speaking of different worlds, in Morocco, it's less about accidental bag swaps and more about the art of the friendly nudge. You know, those charming individuals who insist on guiding you through the Medina maze, then ask for a small fee that could buy you a small camel. It's not violent crime, usually buy you a small camel.
Wow, a magic carpet, Leo. I'm certain our listeners on YouTube would love to see a vlog of you trying to fly it. You know, the key is to stay aware without becoming paranoid. In both Barbados and Morocco, the vast majority of interactions are genuinely warm and welcoming. It's more about knowing the local quirks. For example, in Barbados, you might get approached by vendors on the beach, but a polite no thank you is all it takes. No aggressive haggling needed there, thank goodness, because I'm terrible at it.
A fleet of jet skis, Mira? I can just imagine you trying to park them all in our studio. Ouch! While Barbados might give you a sales pitch wrapped in sunshine, Morocco's souks are a masterclass in persuasive negotiation. Oh, you go in for a tiny spice, and suddenly you're considering a new life as a rug merchant. It's not a crime to try to sell you something, but it's important to keep your wits about you. I mean, my grandmother always said if it seems too good to be true, it's probably trying to sell you a date that's past its prime.
That's a great point, Leo. Whether it's the gentle hustle on a Bajan beach or the lively bartering in a Moroccan market, understanding the cultural approach to commerce can save you a headache. For solo female travelers, both countries generally feel safe, but it's always smart to be extra mindful, especially at night or in less crowded areas. I'm actually curious about what our listeners think about this. Do you guys? About what our listeners think about this staying safe in new places? Drop one in the comments when this episode goes live on YouTube. But don't flash your valuables. Really?
My grandmother's wisdom is universally applicable, Mira. Trust me, when it comes to more serious crime, both Barbados and Morocco generally have lower rates affecting tourists, but it's never zero. That's like my chances of winning the lottery low, but technically not zero. But technically not zero. But technically not zero. Well, in Morocco, but technically not zero. But technically not zero. Well, in Morocco, the focus is often on pickpocketing theft, while in Morocco the focus is often on pickpocketing or scams. It's not about being aware that even charming locals sometimes have an uncanny knack for making your phone disappear.
Oh, don't you dare come for my fanny pack, Leo. It's a fashion statement. Oh, but you're right. Awareness is key. In both Barbados and Morocco, local communities are usually very protective of their reputation for hospitality. So if something does go wrong, there are often resources to help. Aha! It's not about being afraid to explore us. It's like my philosophy on trying new food, be adventurous. But maybe start with a small bite first. And if you like this, compare it with your travel buddies. Political stability and social harmony, what a grand title for comparing countries. Honestly, for me, it's about whether I can spontaneously break into a dance party in the street and not cause a diplomatic incident. You know, that sense of effortless joy and acceptance. Ooh.
Effortless joy in diplomatic incidents, Mira. You really do have a unique barometer for societal wellness. My criteria are usually a bit more mundane. Can I get a decent coffee without having to explain what a latte is? And will someone try to recruit me into a mysterious political faction while I'm waiting? Speaking of which, our first country today, Barbados, seems like it might pass both those tests with flying colors.
Oh, Barbados. It's like a warm hug from the Caribbean, isn't it? You just picture sunshine and calm waters. It's a parliamentary republic, very stable, very serene. I mean, you hardly hear about any dramatic political upheavals there. It's more about a government and then everyone going back to enjoying their beautiful beaches. I'm certain that our listeners living in Barbados would agree with me.
You're right, Mira. It's almost as stable sometimes. I tried to find some juicy political gossip for my stand-up routine while researching Barbados. And all I got was a story about a dispute over the best recipe for flying fish and cuckoo. Seriously, it's a small island, and that sense of community really shines through, which translates into pretty solid social harmony. People generally seem to get along, which is a rare luxury these days, isn't it?
It absolutely is, and that's fantastic for anyone thinking of moving there. You want to feel like you're part of a big, happy family, not constantly watching the news. Well, since we mentioned that tranquil island life, let's swing over to Morocco. It's a completely different vibe, right?
Whoa! Different vibe is an understatement. If Barbados is a gentle, sunny strum on a ukulele, Morocco is a vibrant, rhythmic clap on a darbuka drum. Aha! Morocco is a constitutional monarchy, which means they have a king who holds significant power alongside a parliament. It's a unique system that has maintained stability in a region that's, shall we say, a bit more animated politically.
Animated. But yes, Morocco has managed to maintain its own unique path. And the social harmony, from what I've seen, is rich with cultural layers. You have Arab and Berber influences, and so many different traditions weaving together. It feels like oceans weaving together. It feels like a beautiful, intricate mosaic, even if it sometimes sparks a friendly debate about which region has the best tagine recipe. Ooh, if you think this is wrong, please let us know in the comments when this goes up on YouTube.
The tagine debates, a truly potent source of social disharmony. Just kidding. But seriously, expats often find Morocco to be quite welcoming once they understand the local customs and the underlying respect for tradition in the monarchy. I observed that even when there are minor disagreements, they tend to be handled with a certain grace, a bit like a well-choreographed dance rather than a messy wrestling match.
Finding the rhythm, I love that. And you know, a strong leader, whether it's a monarch or a democratically elected prime minister, can sometimes provide a sense of direction that helps society feel grounded. It's like having a really good band leader who keeps everyone in time. Wow. So, would you say expats feel equally secure in both places, despite their different political systems?
From an observational standpoint, Barbados offers a quiet, almost understated security. It's the kind of place where you might leave your front door unlocked and only regret it if a friendly neighbor borrows your sugar. While different due to its monarchy, also provides a sense of order. You know where you stand, which for some expats is actually quite comforting. It's like knowing the rules of a very old, respected game. For more insights into living abroad, you can always check out Nightlife for detail.
That's a great point, Leo. It shows that stability can wear many different hats. Oh, what I'm actually curious about is what our listeners think about this. Do you prioritize a long-standing democratic system, or is a stable monarchy just as appealing? Let us know what makes you feel most at ease. And while you're at it, don't forget to like this podcast on YouTube and subscribe to our channel for more global comparisons. Alright, so from the stunning landscapes we just talked about, we're now diving into something equally breathtaking, but perhaps for your bank account. It's all about economic conditions and cost of living for Barbados and Morocco. I'm curious, do our listeners think a tropical paradise is always pricier? Or can you find a good deal in the desert?
Oh, a challenge to the wallet. I like it. Mira, you're right. It often feels like the more palm trees there are, the more zeros on the bill, ouch. But let's actually look at Barbados, a beautiful island nation. Their economy is largely driven by tourism, which makes sense. People flock there for those incredible beaches. And also, offshore financial services, so they've got some serious money moving around. Wow.
Right. And with all that tourism, you'd think things would be super expensive. But Barbados really has that high-end vibe. It's not just flip-flops and beach shacks. They boast a higher income per capita than many other Caribbean islands. So, for those looking to live there, it's not exactly a budget destination, but it certainly offers a certain quality of life.
Certain quality of life, that's one way to put it, Mira. What I've observed is that Barbadian dollars, which are actually pegged to the US dollar, seem to shrink faster than a cheap t-shirt in a hot wash cycle when you're buying groceries. Oops. Most things are imported, so that's where the cost of living really gets you. Unless you're eating only local fish and mangoes, your supermarket bill could make you weep. Ouch.
You're so dramatic, Leo. But you're not wrong, especially if you're trying to recreate your home cuisine in Barbados. The rent can also be a significant chunk of your budget, right? Especially for prime locations by the sea. But if you look a bit inland, or away from the super touristy spots, you can find more reasonable options. It's all about balancing that ocean view with your bank statement.
Or maybe they just packed extra large suitcases full of instant noodles and are too busy enjoying the sun to respond. Now, let's swing over to Morocco. The economy there is quite a different beast. It's got tourism, sure, but also agriculture, phosphates, manufacturing, and remittances. It's much more diversified than Barbados, and generally, a developing economy.
Yes, and that diversification means a generally lower cost of living compared to Barbados and many Western countries. Well, you can get an amazing meal. I mean, a full feast for just a few dirhams. Oh, and the South markets are incredible for finding local produce at very affordable prices. It's a food lover's dream without the nightmare bill. I'm actually curious about what our listeners think about this. Have you ever eaten so well for so little?
I imagine the street food in Morocco could fund a small Barbadian vacation. My observational skills tell me that while you can eat like a king, the job market for expats in Morocco can be a bit more specific. You're looking at teaching English, maybe some international companies or call centers. Knowing Arabic or French really opens doors otherwise. You're just another tourist trying to haggle for a carpet. Oops.
It'd probably be that tourist, Leo. But speaking of jobs in Barbados, it's quite niche for expats often in finance, hospitality management, or very specialized fields. Getting a work permit can be a journey in itself, so it's not always easy to just up and move there for a job. You better have a really solid plan, or a really large trust fund.
Exactly. In Morocco, while the cost of living is lower, their currency, the Moroccan dirham, isn't easily convertible outside the country. So if you earn locally, you're generally spending locally, which makes sense, but it's a detail people often overlook. For anyone watching on YouTube, if you've got tips on converting dirhams, please share them in the comments because my usual currency exchange place just gives me a shrug.
Wow, that's a good point about the currency. So, while Morocco offers a more budget-friendly daily life, especially for local goods and services, Barbados is a higher-cost destination with the potential for higher-paying niche jobs, but also reliance on imports that drives up prices. It's a real trade-off between the charm of the tropics and the allure of the souk. Oh!
Absolutely. My take is that Barbados offers a pay-to-play scenario for a very specific, sun-drenched lifestyle. Wow. Morocco, on the other hand, lets you live a rich cultural life without needing a second mortgage, provided you're okay with things like, say, finding a live chicken on a city bus. It all depends on whether your suitcase is full of cash or just your adventurous spirit.
Always with the chickens, Leo. But that's a perfect summary. For a deeper dive into moving or traveling to either of these fascinating places, check out our resources on Jet of AI. It's got all the practical details you'd need. Well, speaking of comfort places to truly unwind, let's dive into accommodation options and quality. When I think of Barbados, my brain immediately goes to those postcard perfect beachfront villas. Well, imagine waking up, stepping straight onto white sand, and the biggest decision of your day is whether to have your coffee in a sarong or a slightly fancier sarong. I'm certain that our listeners living in Barbados probably have a similar morning routine, right?
Mira, you're always dreaming in sarongs, aren't you? Meanwhile, my brain veers to Morocco, where you can find anything from a riad straight out of a fairy tale, with a hidden courtyard and the sound of trickling water. Wow, to a bustling soukside guest house where your alarm clock is a donkey.
Oh, a riad. That sounds like my kind of adventure, Leo. I once stayed in a place in Thailand that claimed to be a boutique experience, but I swear the walls were just tapestries held up by good intentions. Oops. I can only imagine what a real riad feels like. All those intricate tiles and the scent of jasmine. It's like living inside a work of art, don't you think? I'm actually curious about what our listeners think about that. Would you prefer modern luxury or ancient charm?
Well, Mira, some of those ancient charms in Morocco might also come with a few ancient quirks, like plumbing that's a bit too traditional. You might pay a fraction of the price of a Barbadian villa, but you could also be haggling with the landlord about why the hot water only works on Tuesdays. Ouch! But for an expat, that's part of the authentic experience, right? Or at least that's what I tell myself when I'm shivering.
You're such a drama queen, Leo. But you do have a point about the quality varying. In Barbados, you're likely paying for that prime location and a certain level of Western standard, even in more modest guest houses.
Aha! See? Practicalities, Mira, practicalities, Mira, practicalities. In Morocco, you can find incredibly stylish apartments in cities like Marrakesh or Casablanca that are surprisingly affordable, but the trick is knowing where to look and what local standards mean. Sometimes spacious just means a really big, empty room. I once saw a listing that boasted ocean view, and it turned out to be a sliver of blue glimpsed between the distant buildings. Oops. Our Jet-Off AI site has some great articles on navigating these kinds of searches.
Oh, that's hilarious, Leo. An ocean view for aunts, perhaps? I suppose it really boils down to what you're looking for, doesn't it? If you're all about that uninterrupted turquoise, seeing knowing exactly what you're getting. Oh. But if you're like me, always chasing a story and willing to embrace a little unexpected adventure with your living situation, then a Moroccan riad or a quirky apartment could be absolutely thrilling.
So I think that we can counter that. Thrilling, yes. Or just an excuse to write a stand-up routine about your faulty shower. But you're right, Mira. Barbados offers that consistent, high-end resort vibe, and if you're renting a villa, you're usually getting luxury. Well, Morocco, on the other hand, is a kaleidoscope. You can live like royalty in a restored riad with staff, or you can find a modest apartment that perfectly integrates you into local life. It's about how much local living space.
I totally brave the wonky plumbing for a good story, Leo. I think what's important for anyone looking to relocate, whether to Barbados or Morocco, is to manage expectations. In Barbados, prepare for beautiful but potentially pricey options, often with a more modern, tourist-centric feel. Wow! In Morocco, be ready for variety from opulent to wonderfully rustic, but always with a strong sense of local culture. It's about embracing the unique flavor of each place, from beachfront bliss to Riyadh charm. Immigration and official procedures, which sounds about as exciting as watching paint dry. But trust me, even bureaucracy has its funny side, especially when you're dreaming of a Barbadian beach. Well, Barbados generally has a pretty chill vibe for tourists, often visa-free for many. You just show up with your passport, a return ticket, and prove you're not planning to open a coconut stand indefinitely.
I secret pirate with a Mongo addiction. That sounds like a solid plan, Mira. Mira, I'm sure the Barbadian authorities see that all the time. But speaking of chill vibes and paperwork, Morocco, on the other hand, can be a bit more like a beautifully intricate maze. Wow! I'm gonna forget it out and try to fit it in, man. Try to get in fast, and if that's a good, so I'm going to find a farm, man. I do need to get it. It's just so fast. We need getting in a fall.
Oh, the mystical stamp of existence. I know that feeling. Wait. I want to add something there. Barbados has actually stepped up its game with things like the Barbados Welcome Stamp. Wow. It's a 12-month visa for digital nomads and remote workers. Imagine working from a hammock with the turquoise ocean as your background. You still have to fill out forms online, and I'm certain our listeners who've applied will agree. Sometimes their website can test your patience. But the premise is that okay.
A digital paperwork dance for a beach dance. Sounds like a fair trade if you can find the right dance partners in the bureaucracy. Morocco's approach is more traditional. If you're looking at residence permits, which involve a bit more legwork and a lot of documents. Think bank statements, permits, proof of accommodation, the whole 9 yards. Think bank statements, proof of accommodation, the whole 9 yards. And sometimes those 9 yards feel like 9 miles. It's less about a photocopy.
Well, speaking of mint tea, I'm actually curious about what our listeners think about this. Have any of you successfully navigated the visa process for either Barbados or Morocco? If you think this is wrong, please let us know in the comments section on YouTube. Oh, your tips could be life houses for someone else. And while you're there, maybe hit that like button. It's like giving us a little high five.
Yes, because your high five fuels our high-octane sarcasm. Seriously though, preparing for these processes is key. Both countries require diligence, but the flavor of the bureaucracy differs. For Barbados, it's more about proving self-sufficiency and fitting into their digital nomad program. For Morocco, it often feels like a deeper dive into local administrative norms. If you're feeling lost in the paperwork ocean for either, remember resources like Jadafe. I can offer guidance.
A navigator. I love that. Because sometimes you feel like you're trying to sail a paper boat through a hurricane of forms. The bottom line for both is to start early and read everything twice or maybe 3 times, just to be safe. It's like packing for a trip you don't want and realize you forgot your teeth, a crucial document. Oh, I swear. One time I tried to use a selfie for a visa photo. Let's just say the official wasn't amused by my filter-free approach.
I can just imagine their face. Whoa. My friend, if you're attempting to enter a country with a selfie that looks like it was taken at 3 a.m. after a particularly questionable street food adventure, you're just asking for trouble. So, whether it's the breezy online forums for a Barbadian welcome stamp or the more traditional multi-stop journey for a Moroccan residence permit, both require respect for the process. And by respect, I mean having all your ducks in a perfectly organized row, because those ducks tend to scatter when canistro.
And sometimes those scattered ducks need to find their way to a good guide. Wow. So, for more detailed insights and to help you keep those ducks in a row, be sure to check out the articles on Jehalfay I related to immigration. Oh, they really simplify the complicated stuff. It's like having a cheat sheet for a dull thing.
Or a detailed map to that mystical stamp of existence we mentioned earlier.
You know, when I think about healthcare in Barbados, I always picture sunshine and smiling doctors. It sounds so idyllic, doesn't it? For expats, it's certainly a mixed bag of tropical breeze and a few logistical puzzles. Wow. The main public facility is the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, or QEH, which does a commendable job. But you might want to pack a good book for the waiting room if you're not a citizen. I'm curious, do our listeners in Barbados just for snacks during their own mini fridges for snacks during those longer waits?
Mira, your vision of smiling doctors probably involves them smiling because you're paying for private care. Public health care in Barbados, while essential, can feel a bit like a game of musical chairs, except the chairs are all occupied and there's no music. Oops! For expats, it's usually an emergency stop, unless you enjoy the unique challenge of navigating a new system with a throbbing headache. I've always thought if I ever needed a public hospital anywhere.
Don't be so dramatic, Leon. But you're right, the private sector is where most expats land for routine care. Places like Bayview Hospital or Fendi Crest Medical Center. They're like the VIP lounge of healthcare. Ooh, you get quicker appointments, English-speaking staff. And maybe even a doctor who remembers your name. Wow. It's fantastic for peace of mind, but you absolutely need private insurance. Otherwise, your wallet might need a ventilator after a routine checkup.
See, I knew we'd get to the wallet ventilator part. My observations are never wrong, Mira. These private facilities in Barbados sound like luxury spas that also happen to have scalpels. Whoa. While they offer high-quality care, don't expect them to perform brain surgery for a hangnail. For complex or specialized treatments, expats often find themselves on a medical evacuation flight, which is a fancy way of saying. Oops, speaking of complex situations, which is a fancy way of saying oops, back to you, bit.
That's a great segue. Oh, Morocco offers a truly different experience. When I think of Moroccan healthcare, I imagine bustling souks, vibrant spices, and then a surprising blend of traditional remedies and modern medical facilities. Like Barbados, Morocco's public healthcare can be a bit of a challenge in rural areas, but the major cities, like Casablanca or Rabat, boast some really impressive private hospitals. Wow. It's like finding a 5-star riad in the middle of an ancient Medina.
Yes, a 5-star riad where the doctor actually understands what you're saying ideally. Because in Morocco, the divide between public and private healthcare for expats is less a gap and more a chasm. Ouch! Public hospitals can be overcrowded and sometimes lack the modern equipment many expats are used to. I'm certain that our listeners who've lived there would agree that unless you're fluent in Arabic or French, or have an iron-less stomach for bureaucracy, the private sector is your only sensible option.
But honestly, the private clinics and hospitals in Morocco, especially in cities, are fantastic. They're often equipped with the latest technology, and the medical staff are highly trained, many speaking French and English. Oh. You can get excellent specialist care there, and some places are even becoming medical tourism hubs for cosmetic procedures or dental work. Wow, it's reassuring to know that you can get top-notch treatment without necessarily flying all the way home.
Indeed, Jeddah is your friend Mira. But let's not pretend it's all sunshine and perfectly brewed mint tea. While private care in Morocco is excellent and generally more affordable than in Western countries, it's still not free. You absolutely need comprehensive private health insurance. Otherwise, your medical bill might have you performing an impromptu stand-up routine to pay it off. And pharmacies in both countries are generally well-stocked. But remember, the local pharmacist might not understand my brain feels like a broken tendicist.
That's a very Leo-esque way to describe a headache. Oh, but you've hit on a crucial point. Insurance is non-negotiable for expats in both Barbados and Morocco if you want quality care. In Barbados, you're looking at private clinics for speed and comfort, while in Morocco, the private sector offers sophisticated medical facilities in major cities. So while neither country is a free healthcare paradise for non-citizens, both have robust options if you plan ahead.
And don't forget to like and subscribe while you're there, because even talking about healthcare takes a lot out of us. Seriously though, whether you're chasing the sun in Barbados or the vibrant culture in Morocco, understanding their healthcare systems is paramount. Think of it as investing in your well-being, not just your tan lines. Both countries support that, just perhaps with different waiting room decor. And we'll cover more details about securing that all-important private insurance on Jeddah AI later.
Alright, let's roll into a topic that literally keeps us moving: transportation infrastructure and convenience. Leo, you always have a story about getting from point A to point B, usually involving a misadventure. So, which country's roads did you almost get lost on this time?
Mira, my dear, getting lost is just part of the scenic route when you're a true traveler, you know. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Today, we're comparing Barbados and Morocco's travel landscapes, and I'm already picturing chaotic markets versus pristine beaches. Wow. I bet our listeners who've navigated a new city with a paper map remember those. Well, I'll appreciate this.
You and your paper maps. In Barbados, you'd probably just end up using it as a fan because it's too hot to be that confused. The island is tiny, but the way they get around is unique. Wow. They have these ZR vans, which are like super speedy mini buses, and they are an experience, trust me. They zip by. Music blasting. Though like you're in a past missed mice too busy trying to dance in my seat. Oops.
Hey, party on wheels, huh? Sounds like my kind of public transport, as long as they don't play anything too cheerful before my morning coffee. I can just imagine you, Mira, trying to do a full Bollywood routine in a speeding van. Ouch. So, for Barbados, it's those ZRS and some official blue buses, right? The roads, though, are they mostly smooth sailing? Or do you need a sturdy vehicle into prayer?
Generally, the main roads in Barbados are pretty decent, especially along the coast. Oh, you won't feel like you're off-roading unless you purposely go looking for some hidden coves. But if you rent a car and they drive on the left, mind you, you'll find some charming, narrow country lanes. Whoa. It's easy enough to get around. The island's small size makes it convenient. Well, if you're planning a trip, I'll fare for some rental car deals to navigate those Bajan streets with ease or dust.
Morocco, where traffic is less about orderly lanes and more about, let's call it, organized chaos. Unlike Barbados, which is small and compact, Morocco is vast, and its transport infrastructure has to cover a lot of ground. They've got a decent train network, the ONCF, that connects major cities like Casablanca, Marrakesh. It's usually quite efficient, but if you're venturing into a medina in Marrakesh, you're on foot, like a true explorer. Wow.
Donkeys and scooters, that sounds like a different kind of carty on wheels. I've always wanted to explore those winding Medina alleys. It's a completely different vibe from cruising along the Barbadian coastline, isn't it? Wow. For long-distance travel, Morocco's intercity buses, like CTM and Super Tours, are super popular. Ooh, have you ever taken a grand taxi between cities? I hear those can be an adventuring space.
Oh, grand taxis are definitely an experience. Usually share with about 6 other people, sometimes more if they're feeling creative. It's an intimate way to get to know the locals, whether you want to or not. And then there are the petty taxis within cities, which often require a bit of, shall we say, negotiating skills. Wow, what do you all think about this? Tell us below. If you've got a better transit hack for Moroccan cities, drop a comment on our YouTube channel.
Negotiating skills are not my strong suit. I usually just smile and hope for the best. Speaking of YouTube, if you're enjoying our travel comparisons and cheeky banter, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Ooh, it helps us bring you more of these episodes, supported by Jet AI, where you can find all the articles related to our podcasts for deeper dives. Now, Leo, when it comes to road quality, Morocco has some impressive highways, right? Especially those toll roads.
Yeah, the main highways are generally excellent, up to European standards in many places. Oh, perfect for a smooth ride if you're renting a car, which I highly recommend for exploring beyond the city centers. But venture off those main arteries, and you'll quickly find yourself on roads that feel less like asphalt and more like, well, character-building terrain. It's all part of the charm, Mira. It just means more material for my next stand-up.
More material, of course. You always find the humor in every bumpy road. So, in both Barbados and Morocco, it sounds like while the primary transport options are good, exploring the real places often means embracing a bit of the unexpected. Wow. Whether it's a super fast CR in Barbados or a crowded grand taxi in Morocco, it's about the journey, not just the destination. Ooh.
Exactly. And knowing these nuances makes all the difference when you're planning. It's not just about getting there, it's about how you adapt to the local rhythm. For anyone considering living or even just visiting, understanding that transport is crucial. You don't want to be late for a flight because you underestimated a Medina's maze or a busy Bridgetown street. Ouch. If you do want to avoid those last-minute rushes, you can find a lot of useful tips on Jet AI too.
Definitely. And if you've got a favorite transport experience from either country, whether it's a wild ZR ride or a scenic train journey across Morocco, we'd love to hear about it in YouTube. Ooh, we love connecting with all of you. Speaking of connecting with people, sometimes it all comes down to whether you can actually understand what they're saying. Our next topic, Leo, is about language barriers and how easy it is to communicate, and we're tackling Barbados and Morocco. For Barbados, it's pretty straightforward. English is the official language, so you can strut in there, order your rum punch, and complain about the heat hall in plain American English.
Oh, I can just picture it, Mira. You probably sound like a particularly enthusiastic tour guide who's had too much coffee and not enough sleep. Oh, but you're spot on. In Barbados, for most English speakers, it's like landing on a linguistic cloud. You might hear the wonderful Bajan Creole, which is a whole symphony of sounds, but generally, communication is smooth. I'm certain that our listeners living in Barbados would agree with me you can get by just fine. Although, I once tried to imitate a local accent and ended up asked fine.
If reboot, That's amazing. I bet they were wondering if you just sailed in on one. But wait, I want to add something there. Well, English is super easy in Barbados. Sometimes the pace or rhythm of Bajan Creole can throw you off. It's like a fast-paced Gisela, you know it's English, but it's got its own groove. Wow! It's delightful there. But now, let's pivot to Morocco. Oh, that's a whole different set of languages plus Moroccan Arabic, which is called Derriere, is the daily tongue.
You hit the nail on the head, Mirror. Morocco is where your brain starts doing linguistic gymnastics. I've been there, and trying to navigate a conversation felt like playing a game of charades with a side of interpretive dance. You think you've got French covered from high school, then someone responds in Derriere, and you're suddenly looking for the Nerrier, and you're suddenly looking for the nearest miming instructor. Ouch! It's impressive though the way so many Moroccans switch between Derriere French, and often a bit of Spanish in the north.
Oh, yeah, exactly. In Barbados, if someone doesn't understand you, you just repeat yourself louder, perhaps with more dramatic hand gestures. But in Morocco, you might repeat yourself in English, then switch to a mangled French, and then maybe resort to Google Translate, which then gives you a completely poetic and utterly useless translation. Oops. I remember trying to ask for directions once and ended up being offered a lovely mint tea, which wasn't my destination, but it was delicious.
That's the beauty of it, isn't it? In Morocco, the communication might be less about literal words and more about the gesture, the shared smile, and that inevitable cup of mint tea. Whereas in Barbados, you might find people are more direct. You want directions? You might directions. No tea involved. Oh. For expats in Barbados, it's pretty much a breeze. But for Morocco, learning a bit of Derriere or brushing up on your French isn't just helpful. It's almost essential if you want to move beyond the tourist bubble.
Oh, you always come up with the best mental images. And you know, for deeper cultural immersion, whether it's Barbados or Morocco, learning a few local phrases truly goes a long way. Even a simple hello or thank you in Bajan or Derriere can open doors. It shows respect. So, if you're planning a trip or a move, definitely check out Jeddah for some language learning resources. They're like your linguistic superhero sidekick. Ooh, it's so important for understanding the nuances beyond just transcational communication.
Absolutely. And if you think this is wrong, please let us know in the comments. I'm sure someone out there has managed to navigate Morocco with only interpretive dance and a strong will. But for the rest of us mortals, a long way. So, to sum it up, Barbados, you'll feel right at home with English, maybe just needing to tune your ear to the local rhythm. Morocco is a beautiful linguistic mosaic, so prepare to engage multiple parts of your brain, or at least carry a good phrase book and be ready for a lot of delicious tea.
You know, when I think about cultural diversity and tolerance, especially with a place like Barbados, my brain just starts playing reggae music. Oh, it's like a warm hug, right? Everyone seems to just blend together like a really well-mixed fruit punch on a beautiful beach. You have the strong African heritage, the British influence in the language and systems, and then all these other flavors from Indian and Chinese communities. It feels so vibrant and open.
Fruit punch on a beach is one way to put it, I suppose. I'd say it's more like a particularly intricate layered cake, each stratum baked with centuries of history. Oh, you get a hint of that sweet British colonial icing, but the real flavor, the solid base, is definitely Afro-Caribbean. Whoa, they've managed to keep their distinct identity despite all those historical flavors trying to take over. I'm certain our listeners who visited would agree. It's not just a surface level mix, it's deep-rooted. Aha!
Oh, you and your cakes, Leo. I actually tried to bake one once, and it ended up looking like a modern art sculpture, not a cake. Oops. But speaking of deep roots, Barbados has such a strong sense of national identity even with all that blend. I mean, they're so proud of being Bajan. The way they celebrate their heritage, especially during crop over festival with Card du Ment Day, it's just pure joy. Wow! Everyone's out, dancing, just celebrating who they are. It's like a giant party where everyone is invited there.
Right? A giant party, but imagine trying to phone in that crowd. Tolerance, though, is an interesting word in Barbados. It's less about tolerating differences and more about genuine acceptance, which is a subtle but crucial distinction. It's built into the fabric. Christianity might be dominant, but I didn't get the sense that other faiths are just quietly enduring. They seem to coexist with a casual ease. I wonder if it's the constant sunshine that makes everyone so chill.
See, I told you it was a warm hug. And yes, the sunshine definitely helps. You can't be too grumpy when the sky is that blue. I remember once trying to look serious in Barbados, and a local just laughed and said, "Honey, you're too bright for that face." Oh, my face muscles are actually protesting right now, just trying to keep a straight face. But when we look at Morocco, the cultural tapestry there is just as rich. But with a different kind of thread, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, Morocco's cultural tapestry is less of a punch and more of an ancient, exquisitely woven carpet. Wow. You've got the indigenous Semitic heritage, then the Arab influences, and even some French and Spanish colonial patterns subtly stitched in. Aha! It's a land of layers, literally and figuratively. They've historically been a crossroads, so tolerance isn't just a modern concept, it's baked into centuries of trade and coexistence. They even had thriving Jewish communities for a long time.
So it's not just about what's new, but also about honoring what's old. It's like finding a vintage jacket with incredible embroidery. Oh, Morocco also has this amazing way of celebrating its Semitic culture, right? I've seen some of their festivals, and the music, the colors, it's just breathtaking. Wow. It's such a powerful expression of identity within a broader national picture. And I'm actually curious about what our Jet AI community thinks about this. How do these older traditions impact modern tolerance?
Yes, the Amazigh resurgence is a testament to embracing indigenous identity, even recognizing their language, Tamazight, officially. It's a big deal. But, like any country with such deep layers, it's not without its complexities. You also have the integration of sub-Saharan migrants, and then the dynamic between traditional and more modern, urban values. It's a constant negotiation. Ouch! Sometimes it feels like watching a particularly intense, yet graceful tango.
Tango. I'd probably trip over my own feet trying to do that. But I totally get what you mean. It's about navigating all those different steps. So, Barbados feels like a vibrant, open embrace. Maybe less about overcoming past struggles and more about celebrating what they've built together. And Morocco is a deeply rooted, ancient mosaic, constantly adjusting and weaving new threads into its historical fabric. Both amazing. Just different dances.
Indeed. One is a lively street parade, the other a stately, ancient procession with a few surprising detours. Both showing us that diversity, no matter how it's expressed, adds richness. I think we'll leave it to our fantastic listeners to decide which cultural dance they'd rather join first. But seriously, if you like this comparison, do us a solid, like this video and hit that subscribe button on YouTube. It keeps our comedic engines fueled, and Mira from trying to make me dance.
He's just saying that because he secretly wants to join my Mirror Universal dance. Oh, but yes, your support really helps us keep these conversations going. Let's look at educational opportunities and language schools in Barbados and Morocco. I mean, Who doesn't love the idea of learning while soaking up some sun or exploring ancient Medina-s? Oh, Barbados, for example, has an incredibly high literacy rate, like almost 100%. Imagine everyone being able to read every menu, every sign, no excuses for ordering the wrong thing. They really prioritize education from primary all the way up to university level.
So Barbados is basically a giant, sunny library. Is that what you're saying? I can already picture Mira trying to get everyone to do their homework on the beach. Oops. While everyone else is trying to relax, you be there with flashcards. But on a serious note, a high literacy rate means a solid foundation. And since English is the official language, it's pretty straightforward for anyone wanting to study there. I'm certain that our listeners living in the Caribbean would agree with me, right?
Well, I would bring flashcards, but they'd be waterproof, of course. Speaking of language, that's where Morocco really shines. But where Morocco really shines, but in a different way. While Barbados offers easy English immersion, Morocco opic in French. Imagine trying to master your alls and guttural sounds while surrounded by stunning architecture. Well, their education system also focuses on these two languages from an early age. I'm actually curious about what our more structured English environment.
Immersion? That's just a fancy word for getting confused by street vendors until you figure it out. I once tried to order a sandwich in a language I vaguely knew and ended up with a philosophical debate about the meaning of bread. Oops. Morocco has a fascinating blend, though. You've got classical Arabic, then Derriere, the local dialect, and French, which is still huge. For language schools, Morocco offers incredible opportunities, especially if you want to dive deep into Arabic or French culture.
That sounds like a thrilling language lesson indeed. That sounds like a thrilling language lesson indeed. But seriously, Barbados also has specialized programs, particularly at the University of the West Indies, Cave Hill campus. They're strong in fields like marine biology, given their incredible ocean environment. So, if you're dreaming of studying coral reefs or tracking sea turtles, which sounds amazing, by the way, Barbados is your spot. Oh, I mean, who wouldn't want to get a degree while occasionally doing field work in turquoise waters?
So I think that we can conquer that. Turquoise waters and sea turtle sounds less like education and more like a permanent vacation for you, Mira. My idea of field work usually involves finding the best street food stall in a new city. But yes, that contrast is striking. Barbados leveraging its natural environment for specialized studies is smart. Morocco, on the other hand, offers more traditional academic strengths. On the other hand, offers more truly a gateway to a vast region.
Ooh, linguistic acrobatics. I love that, Leo. I can almost picture you trying to say hello while doing the cartwheel. But listeners, whether you're drawn to the marine wonders of Barbados or the linguistic challenges of Morocco, there's an educational path for you. And if you have any amazing stories about learning a language abroad or studying in either of these countries, please share them in the comments below. We'd love to hear them. Wow, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more exciting comparisons.
Absolutely. And if you're like me and your study abroad experience was mainly observing local coffee drinking habits, then both countries offer plenty of material for that kind of learning too. Seriously though, from academic excellence in English to deep dives into Arabic and French, both Barbados and Morocco have unique educational strengths. The choice really depends on what you're looking for. Sun-soaked classrooms are vibrant, historical learning environments. So go ahead.
You know, when we talk about climate, I always imagine living in a perpetual summer like a giant, warm hug from Mother Nature. And honestly, Barbados delivers on that dream, doesn't it? It's like the weather daughter memo saying, be fabulous. Always. Year-round sunshine, gentle breezes, it's a beach day every day.
Mira, you make it sound like a tropical vacation brochure. Gentle breezes, you say. I bet those gentle breezes turn into a full-on gale when you're trying to keep your hat under in peak season. But yes, Barbados does boast that consistent warm embrace, doesn't it? Average temperatures hanging out in the mid to high 22nds, like they're just chilling waiting for you to join them for a swim.
Exactly. And can we talk about not needing a winter coat? Ever? My closet would be so much happier if it only housed swimsuits and flowy dresses. Wow. Although, I did once try to convince a coconut tree to hold my umbrella during a sudden shower, which was less gentle breeze and more tropical surprise. But even the wet season, from June to November, is still full of sunshine. It's more like a refreshing cleanse for the island, not a dreary washout.
Be refreshing cleanse, I like that. I'm certain our listeners living in Barbados would agree with you, especially when a hurricane is doing its best impression of a bowling ball aimed at the Caribbean. Oops, speaking of varied weather experiences, if Barbados is a constant, beautifully predictable pop song, Morocco is like a whole album with a different genre for every track. You've got your Mediterranean coast with mild winters, then you head inland and suddenly you're baking in Marrakesh's summer heat.
Whoa! So you say Morocco is less about consistent vibes and more about a climate roller coaster? I love a good adventure, but I once packed for a beach trip to the mountains. Let's just say my flip-flops weren't thrilled. So, if I'm picturing Morocco, am I thinking mild sea breezes 1 minute and then, suddenly, I'm trekking through snow in the Atlas Mountains?
You absolutely could be, Mira. 1 minute you're sipping mint tea on a sunny Atlantic beach in Casablanca, thinking, this is the life. And the next, you're packing your thermals for the Atlas Peaks, where snow isn't just a rumor. I remember trying to explain the concept of beach weather to a camel once. He just looked at me like I'd suggested wearing a parka to a desert barbecue. Oh. Inland cities like FES and Marrakesh can get absolutely scorching in summer, like the sun decided to get extra cozy with the rooftops.
Ouch! That sounds like my hair's worst nightmare, humidity and scorching heat. I probably look like a frizzball trying to make an impromptu dance video. But Morocco's diversity sounds incredible. From the lush northern coast to the vast Sahara Desert, it's like Mother Nature couldn't decide on one look. Wow, I'm actually curious about what our listeners think about this climate chameleon effect. Do you prefer the steady warm for the wild changes?
It definitely keeps you on your toes. And don't forget the shared G, I win, Mira. It's a hot, dry, dusty wind from the Sahara that feels like a giant hair pointed straight at you. You'll be sweating off your coffee before you even finish the first sip. I've seen tourists try to brave it only to return looking like they've wrestled us in tornado. Locals, though, they've got this down to an art, thick walled houses, shaded courtyards, and those lovely flowing clothes.
So it's not just about enduring the weather, but living with it in a truly unique way. I can imagine the architecture in Moroccan cities is designed with climate in mind. Those beautiful riads with central courtyards must offer such cool retreats. Oh, it's similar to how Barbadians embrace their open-air living and make the most of those constant trade winds to keep cool. It's like the houses themselves are breathing with the island. Wow.
Exactly. In Barbados, it's about building to catch the breeze, while in Morocco, it's about building to escape the sun's relentless stare. Tourists often learn this the hard way, thinking their flimsy beachwari will cut it in the desert. Oops. My travel tip from Morocco: layers. Always layers. And maybe a very large, stylish sun hat for both fashion and survival.
Well, whether you're battling a shared GUI wind or enjoying a breezy beach day, Both climates certainly shape the local lifestyle, don't they? And for anyone wondering which one suits their travel style, you really have to consider if you're a constant warmth kind of person or a surprise me with every season kind of explorer. Oh, don't forget, you can let us know your preference in the comments on YouTube.
And whether you're packing for perpetual summer or for season adventure, remember, planning a trip to either of these fascinating countries is made a breeze with Jet AI. They'll sort out all the sticky details so you can focus on whether to pack your swimsuit or your snow boots.
Our current topic? We compare food, culture, and nutritional alternatives into countries. I'm already salivating just thinking about it. First up, Barbados. I swear, the Bajan food scene is like a warm hug from the ocean. Think flying fish in kuoku, a dance of cornmeal and okra that's just pure comfort. Oh, and the fresh seafood. It's practically leaping onto your plate. I once saw a fish so fresh, I thought it winking at me from the market stall.
Winking fish, Mira? I'm certain it was just plotting its escape. I've heard Barbadian cuisine is truly an experience. A bit of African, a bit of Indian, a dash of Creole spice. Wow. I'm picturing myself trying pudding and souse right now, even if I'm not entirely sure what a souse is beyond something you get when you're caught in the rain. But speaking of flavors that dance, let's look at Morocco. Morocco's food culture, now that's a whole other symphony.
Oh, I was just about to say tagine. Whoa, the spices in Morocco are what truly get me. Saffron, ginger, turmeric. It's like a warm embrace in every bite. And the mint tea. It's not just a drink, it's a ceremony. Oh, I love how they make it so frothy. It's like a card of welcome. Oh. Watch just say my tea look more like swamp water than a Morocco caters to different dietary needs, Leo.
I think Morocco, with its reliance on fresh vegetables, lentils, and chickpeas and many tagine and hari raw soup, is actually quite VEG friendly by nature. Even without trying, they've been doing the plant-based thing for centuries. I bet some ancient Moroccan chef would look at our modern vegan menus and just chuckle, saying, "We've been doing this, but with more flavor." And their preserved lemons, an absolute game changer. I'm actually curious about what our listeners think about that. Have you ever had a truly great Prius about that?
It's true. Traditional cuisines often accidentally nailed the nutritional alternatives, long before it became a trend. Barbados, for instance, with its abundance of fresh fruits and grilled fish, offers naturally lighter options too. You can find a lot of healthy choices beyond the delicious macaroni pie, even though that's a personal favorite of mine. And on both islands, you're seeing a rise in vegetarian and vegan eateries, especially in the more tourist-heavy spots.
Yeah, because even the most dedicated meat eater needs a detox day sometimes, right? I imagine trying to explain a gluten-free diet to a Bajan grandma after she's just served you the most incredible fish cakes. She'd probably just offer you more rum punch and say, "Child, just eat." But for those who do have specific needs, it's good to know both countries are catching up. It really shows how global food trends influence even the most traditional kitchens.
Absolutely. Well, whether you're craving the vibrant flavors of a Barbadian fish fry or the aromatic depths of a Moroccan tagine, both destinations are culinary adventures. Ooh, and if you're looking for more details on specific dishes or restaurants in these incredible places, don't forget to check out Jet AI for some amazing travel and food guides. You might just find your next favorite meal there.
Or at least avoid my mistake of ordering a spicy surprise. That was essentially a bowl of fire. Ouch! My eyes watered for days. So, if you're planning your next gastronomic journey, Whether it's for the fresh, zesty flavors of Barbados or the rich, complex spices of Morocco, you've got plenty of mouth-watering options. Just remember to pack some extra napkins, Mira, for all that winking fish juice. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more delicious comparisons.
Oh, now, this is where things get super exciting historical, cultural, and artistic values. It's like unwrapping a giant, ancient present, isn't it? Wow, every country has its own unique story, a tapestry woven with threads of time.
Unwrapping a giant, ancient present. I've seen presents that were just old socks, Mira. But yes, history is rarely boring. Sometimes it's just a very long, slightly dusty, often blood-stained story that everyone romanticizes. Today, we're talking about Barbados and Morocco, two places with more than just a few chapters in their books.
Absolutely. Let's kick off with Barbados. It's truly a gem, a beautiful blend of West African and British heritage. You see it everywhere, from the architecture in Bridgetown, which is a UNESCO site by the way, to their incredible music and dance. Ooh, have you ever seen a crop over festival? It's pure, unadulterated joy, a riot of color and rhythm. Wow.
I'm pretty sure my hips aren't built for unadulterated joy on that level. But seriously, Bridgetown and its garrison's colonial architecture is quite something. It's like the British just left their fancy tea sets and buildings. But the Bajan spirit said, we'll keep the nice parts. Thank you very much. And add a whole lot more rum to it. Speaking of spirits, Jeddah I loves uncovering stories like this, showing how deep cultures run. And so do we.
And talking about rum, it's not just a drink, it's a huge part of their history and identity. Art form of distillation. NS have this incredible way of celebrating life despite a very challenging past. Their resilience and vibrant culture. You feel it in Arab culture. You feel it in every steel pen beat. What about Morocco, Leo? From colonial tea sets to ancient Medina-s, that's quite a leap, isn't it?
Whoa, from rum to mint tea. Indeed, Morocco's history is an absolute labyrinth. We're talking Berber roots, Roman ruins, Arab dynasties, Islamic golden ages, and then some European sprinkles. You walk into a city like FES, and it's like stepping into a time machine that's decided to turn off the air conditioning. Ouch! The sheer layers of history, the intricate mosaics, the calligraphy, every corner tells a story. I'm certain our listeners who've explored these Medina-s would agree.
Oh, those Medina-s. Getting lost in one is my favorite kind of adventure, even if it means asking for directions in 3 different languages and ending up with a carpet instead of a coffee. The hell. But the artistry, the zell-edged tiles, the leatherwork, the hand-woven carpets, it's not just beautiful, it's steeped in generations of tradition. These aren't just crafts, they're historical documents in fabric and clay.
Yeah. And the bargaining skills you need in a Moroccan soyoke, that's an art form in itself. Oops. I once tried to haggle for a tagine, and the vendor just gave me a look that said, bless your naive little heart. But the music, like Nai, is incredible. It's hypnotic, spiritual, and makes you feel like you've stumbled into something truly ancient. It's a living, breathing part of their cultural fabric.
And you know, a crucial part of these countries' artistic expression also comes through their storytelling. In Barbados, it's often in their calypso lyrics, witty and poignant. In Morocco, it's been passed down through generations in oral traditions, from storytellers and DJ Ima Alef and A Square to everyday conversations. It connects everyone, don't you think? It gives you a glimpse into their soul.
Speaking of souls, my soul needs another coffee after all this rich history. But absolutely, these traditions aren't just relics, they're alive. The film festivals in Marrakesh, for example, show how they bridge the old with the new. They aren't just preserving the past, they're constantly reinventing it, adding new layers to that ancient present you mentioned earlier. If you think this is wrong, please let us know in the comments. We'll have a good debate, or at least I do.
Wow. And the respect for elders and community in both cultures also informs their artistic expression. It's often collective, from communal dances in Barbados to the intricate designs passed down in Moroccan families. Oh, it's not just individual genius, it's the wisdom of a community. You know, for anyone wanting to truly experience these rich histories and art forms firsthand, just Orfe is your go-to for planning that adventure.
Agreed. So, whether you're admiring the pastel-colored chattel houses in Barbados, listening to gospel choirs, or getting lost in the kaleidoscopic chaos of a Moroccan tannery, both countries are absolutely saturated with historical, cultural, and artistic value.
Oh, when we talk about natural beauty and landscapes, I immediately think of colors: vibrant, sparkling, irresistible colors. And that's exactly what the Barbados brings to mind. Wow. It's like the world decided to paint a masterpiece with turquoise washes and powdery whites and then sprinkled it with some glitter for good measure. You have those post-hog perfect beaches, like Crane Beach, where the sand is this incredible soft pinkish hue. I'm certain our listeners who've been there would agree. It's truly breathtaking.
Glitter and pink sand. I suppose if you're into that sort of thing. Me. I prefer my landscapes with a bit more grit, a bit more mystery, like Morocco. Wow. We're talking Atlas Mountains towering over ancient Caspias. Then you just drop into the vast, silent, almost philosophical dunes of the Sahara.
Whoa, a lost flamingo in the Sahara? Now that's a mental image. But speaking of unique, Barbados isn't just about the beaches, Leo. While you're trekking through your philosophical dunes, I'd be exploring Harrison's Cave. Imagine a crystallized limestone cavern with stalactites and stalagmites that look like they're dripping diamonds. Uh-huh. And then there's the Animal Flower Cave, where you can literally see sea anemones that look like flowers, nestled in pools of water.
A secret underwater garden, huh? Sounds like something you'd see on a very expensive cruise itinerary. Morocco offers a different kind of secret. Think to DRA Gorge, massive canyons where the walls are 1,000 feet high and you can almost whisper to the sky. Oh, or the Dades Valley, sometimes called the Valley of Roses, especially in spring when it's just bursting with bloom. It's less dripping diamonds and more carved by eons of wind and water. It's a testament to nature's raw power, not its delicate glitter.
Well, I think both can be powerful, just in different ways. Oh, Barbados' eastern coast, the Atlantic side, is incredibly dramatic. Huge waves crash against rugged cliffs, creating these natural soup bowls that surfers just adore. Wow, it's wild and untamed, a completely different vibe from the calm turquoise west coast. So you can have your serene escape one day and an adrenaline rush the next. It's the ultimate two-for-one deal, you know. We really should mention to our audience that if you're watching this on YouTube.
The wilder side, definitely. Though, I doubt it's as wild as navigating a camel through the Arjich Ibi dunes at sunrise. Ah! That's a truly humbling experience, Mira. You see nothing but endless goldens, and hear nothing but the wind, and realize how small you are. Wow! No crashing waves, just the quiet majesty of a boundless desert. It makes you feel like you stepped onto another planet. No sparkly cocktails there, just strong mint tea in the vastness of the universe.
Oh, I bet the stargazing in the Sahara is absolutely incredible. Well, but you know, Barbados has its own kind of quiet majesty too, especially when you head inland. Rolling hills covered in lush sugarcane fields, dotted with old plantations and tropical forests like Welchman Hole Gully, where you can watch green monkeys playing in their natural habitat. Ooh, it's a different shade of green. Less dramatic perhaps, but so calming. And...
Right, I'll take the beast of burden over a mischievous monkey any day. Oops, they always try to steal your coffee, you know. Morocco also has its stunning coastal stretches along both the Atlantic and Mediterranean. Places like Essaouira, with its ancient medina spilling right onto the beach, the strong winds making it a haven for kite surfers. Wow. It's a completely different coastal experience than Barbados' tranquil coves, more historic, more bustling, with the scent of spices mingling with the scent of spices mingling with the sea air.
I love that. The scent of spices and sea air. Oh, honestly, Leo, sometimes the purest beauty is in simplicity. Barbados, for all its vibrant charm, also has these quiet, unspoiled corners where you can just sit and listen to the waves or watch a solitary pelican dive for fish. No dramatic gorges, no endless dunes, just pure, unadulterated Caribbean bliss. For more details on these natural wonderful supporter.
Pure, unadulterated bliss. I suppose everyone has their version. Mine involves a bit more dust than the occasional Berber shepherd. But to sum it up, whether you want your nature with a side of sparkling turquoise and coral reefs, like Barbados, or with the epic scale of mountains, deserts, and rugged coastlines, like Morocco, both offer something truly unforgettable. Wow. It just depends on if you like your beauty delivered with a smile and a rum punch, or with a stoic, ancient gaze.
Oh, alright. Next up, let's dive into sports, activity, and adventure options. Wow, when I think of Barbados, my mind immediately jumps to the sparkling blue water. Whoa, I imagine myself trying out every single water sport, probably falling off a paddleboard with style. Or attempting to surf and ending up looking like a human starfish.
Human starfish, Mira. I can just picture it. Oops. I'm certain our YouTube audience would love a compilation video of that. But seriously, Barbados is indeed a paradise for water lovers. Beyond the graceful or not so graceful water lovers. Beyond the graceful or not so graceful paddle boarding, you have things like catamaran cruises, snorkeling, and scuba diving. The island even has cricket as its national sport, which is fascinating. It's not all about the waves. Some people prefer a quiet afternoon.
Oh, don't worry, Leo. I'd make sure my starfish impersonation was Oscar-worthy. Oh, and speaking of cricket, it's a whole different vibe, isn't it? I love how a country's national sport can tell you so much about its culture. I mean, my idea of a sport is usually dancing until my feet hurt. But watching a cricket match, soaking up the sun with the locals, that sounds like a wonderful adventure too. It's all about participation, even if it's just from the sidelines with a cheerful clap. Wow.
Participation from the sidelines, you say? Is that what you call trying to catch a stray ball and spilling your drink? No, I'm just kidding. But for actual adventure, you can explore the Harrison's Cave, an underground labyrinth. Wow, it's impressive, and a nice break from the sun. Or if you want something a bit more, dare I say, authentic, there are hiking trails through the jungle. Just make sure you don't confuse a tree for a dance partner, Mir. And if you're looking for more info on planning these trips.
Oops. You know me too well, Leo. My dance moves are universal, even to trees. But Harrison's Cave sounds absolutely spectacular. Imagine the stories you could tell after exploring a cave like that. It's not just about the thrill, but the history and mystery of it all. As for jungle hiking, I'd probably be singing and laughing the whole way, trying to coax any shy monkeys out with a silly dance. I wonder if you were hiking there, If you were hiking there, what's the most absurd thing you'd expect?
The most absurd thing? Probably me, without a coffee, trying to navigate a map written in ancient symbols. But talking about ancient symbols and different landscapes, let's look at Morocco. Wow, from the sunny coasts of Barbados, we transition to a country with a whole different set of adventures. You have the Atlas Mountains for trekking and skiing. Whoa, skiing in Africa? I mean, that's not something you hear every day, is it? I'd definitely be abashing.
Well, skiing and sandboarded in the same country? That's what I call versatility. Ooh, I would absolutely love to try sandboarded in the Sahara, probably tumbling down the dunes like a giant. Happy snowball. My inner child is already screaming adventure, and trekking in the Atlas Mountains sounds so invigorating. I can almost smell the crisp mountain air. It's a completely different kind of sparkling blue than Barbados, but equally enchanting. I'm actually curious about what our listeners think about this.
I'd say the tumbling part is pretty much guaranteed for you, Mira. For me, in Morocco, the real adventure is sometimes just navigating the medinas. It's like an extreme sport for your senses, trying to find your way through the labyrinthine alleyways, avoiding donkeys, and haggling for spices. Wow. And then you have the surfing on the Atlantic coast, particularly around Tag Hazy, which is a big draw. It's not all just desert and mountains. Morocco has a strong connection to the ocean too.
Oh, the Medinas. You're right, Leo. That's definitely an adventure. It's like a real-life treasure hunt where every turn could lead to a new surprise. Oh, I'd probably get lost and emerge with a hat full of spices and 3 new dance moves. And surfing on the Atlantic coast sounds incredible. Imagine catching a wave with the Moroccan sun on your face. It's such a fantastic contrast to the Caribbean vibe of Barbados. Both offer a rich tapestry of experiences. It just to the waves or conquer the dunes with the waves.
Right. Or in your case, dance with the waves and conquer the dunes, probably simultaneously and slightly offbeat. What I find particularly interesting in Morocco are the opportunities for rock climbing in places like Tadir Gorge, or even mountain biking. It appeals to a different kind of adventurer, someone who likes a bit more grit. And for those who prefer cultural immersion as their activity, learning traditional Moroccan cooking or taking a Berber music workshop definitely counts as an adventure for the soul.
Yes. Cooking classes and music workshops are my kind of adventure. I mean, I might set off a smoke detector trying to make tagine, but it would be a memorable experience nonetheless. And learning a new instrument, even if I sound like a cat playing a kazoo, is always a joy. Wow. It truly shows how both Barbados and Morocco are immersion. There's a whole world of possibilities.
Indeed, Mira. The options are as diverse as your taste in socks. And if you're planning your own thrilling escape, remember to check out Jeddah Fai for the best deals. Oh, I'm sure you'll find something for every type of adventurer, even those who prefer their adventures from the comfort of a cafe, watching the world go by.
All right, Leo. If there's one thing I love more than a good story, and I know you're full of them, it's diving headfirst into a country's nightlife. Oh, it's like the soul of a place truly comes alive after dark.
Mira, you dive head first into a puddle if there was a party on the other side. But you're right. The night often tells a different story than the day. Speaking of vibrant tales, let's talk about Barbados.
Oh, Barbados. Wow. The name alone makes me want to put on my dancing shoes and find the nearest beach bar. I imagine it's all about rhythmic soca music, colorful drinks, and dancing until the sunrise kisses your face. Am I close? Or am I just dreaming of a movie scene?
You're pretty close, Mira, but perhaps with less dramatic cinematography. The street, Lawrence Gap, or the Gap, as the locals call it, is practically a knee on the strip of bars, clubs, and restaurants. Oh, you'll find everything from laid backroom shops where the old-timers tell stories, to pulsing clubs with international DJs. It's a real melting pot, where tourists and locals mingle seamlessly. You might even see someone try to teach me to dance, which would be a sight for sore eyes, I assure you.
Oh, I'm certain you'd be a natural, Leo. Oh, just imagine your observational humor combined with a little soca flair. And what about the food? Does it get involved in the nightlife? Or is it strictly about the music? Because I can't dance on an empty stomach.
The food is an integral part, Mira. Especially at the O's Tins Fish Fry every Friday night. Wow. It's less club and more massive street party with fresh seafood. Picture vendors grilling fish under the stars, music blaring, and people doing everything from a gentle sway to full-on dance-offs. You might even find yourself in a casual game of dominoes. It's utterly chaotic and absolutely brilliant. I'm actually curious about what our listeners think about this. Does a fish fry count as prime nightlife entertainment?
Wow, a fish fry under the stars sounds like pure magic. Oh, my stomach is already rumbling. But speaking of different vibes, how does that compare to, say, Morocco? I imagine the nightlife there might have a different kind of shimmer. A bit more mystique, perhaps.
Mystique indeed, Mira. In Morocco, the nightlife isn't always as in your face as Barbados. In cities like Marrakesh, the heartbeat is often found in places like Gemalfna Square, which comes alive at night with storytellers, musicians, and food stalls. Oh, it's more about traditional entertainment and less about pounding club beats, though the modern areas like Goulas do offer chic lounges and nightclubs. You won't find me trying to keep up with a snake charmer, though. Nope.
A snake charmer might be a bit much, even for your adventurous spirit, Leo. Wow, but the idea of traditional storytellers and musicians sounds so enchanting. It's like stepping into a different era. Are there any specific cultural performances that really stand out?
Absolutely. Many Riyadh's those beautiful traditional Moroccan houses with inner courtyards offer rooftop lounges where you can enjoy traditional Na'a music or a quieter atmosphere under the desert sky. Oh! It's less Ibiza rave and more sophisticated cultural immersion with a mint tea. Casablanca and Agadir also have more Western-style clubs and beach resort entertainment. If you're looking for that kind of energy, you might even find a casino, if you're feeling lucky.
You know me, Leo, I'd find a way to dance anywhere. But that contrast is fascinating. So, Barbados offers that open, beachy, spontaneous party vibe, while Morocco has a more layered, almost intimate kind of entertainment, especially with the traditional music and riad settings. I'm already imagining myself trying to learn some traditional dance moves in a Moroccan riad, or at least making everyone laugh trying.
I can picture it now, Mira. You'd probably break out a Bollywood routine in the middle of a traditional performance. Oops. But really, both countries offer something unique. Barbados is all about the let loose and feel the rhythm energy, whether it's a rum shop or a big club. Morocco, particularly outside the major tourist enclaves, asks you to lean into its rich cultural tapestry from the bustling square performances to the more subdued, elegant lounges. It's a spectrum, really.
It sounds like whether you're looking for a full-on dance party or a captivating cultural experience, both Barbados and Morocco deliver, just in their own fantastic ways. Wow. So, for our listeners planning your next adventure, consider what kind of after-dark magic you're craving. And don't forget to check out Jet AI for all your travel needs, to help you get to these amazing places.
Indeed. Just remember to pack appropriate footwear. Flip-flops for Barbados, maybe something a little more elegant for a Moroccan riad rooftop. And for those of you who appreciate the more nuanced observations about travel, make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we'll continue to unravel the quirks of the world. Who knows what hidden gems or Dan's or Van's moves we'll uncover next?
Oh, alright, so we're talking about making sure the little ones are happy and the parents don't lose their minds. You know, a happy child on holiday means a relaxed parent, which is basically world peace, right? I'm already picturing tiny adventurers and sleepy parents on the beach. So, let's jump into family environments and children's activities for Barbados and Morocco. I'm certain that our listeners looking for their next family getaway will find this super helpful. Well,
World peace from a beach vacation. That's a bold claim, Mira. More like a momentary ceasefire before someone demands I scream. But I get it. We're looking at destinations where you don't need a PhD in keeping kids occupied. Speaking of tiny adventurers, Barbados screams family time from every palm tree. You've got those ridiculously calm turquoise waters perfect for splashing without parents having a heart attack every 2 seconds. And the resorts. Many are practically built around entertaining small humans.
absolutely. You know, Barbados is like that effortlessly cool aunt who always has juice boxes and a fun activity ready. You know, no terms on her watch. They have these incredible family-friendly resorts with kids clubs that make you wish you were a kid again. Wow. I'm talking treasure hunts, crafting, even Bajan storytelling. And the beaches. Those truly are a dream. We're talking swimming with sea turtles, which is a real new moment for anyone, not just kids. I'm actually curious about what our listeners know in the comments.
Effortlessly cool aunt. I picture her sipping a cocktail while the kids are safely occupied. Very strategic. And yes, the sea turtle thing is legitimately cool. I once saw a kid try to race one. Oops. Didn't end well for the kid. But beyond the aquatic ballet, there's the Barbados Wildlife Reserve. If your kids aren't entertained by green monkeys scampering around, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe they need more coffee like me. It's a nicely contained, safe environment where the animals roam freely.
Oh, the green monkeys. The green monkeys. I can just imagine you trying to have a serious conversation with one about tax breaks. Oops. But yes, for families, Barbados really nails the safe fun and the sun vibe. It's all about gentle waves, friendly faces, and activities that don't require an extreme sports waiver. And when we upload this to YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy feeling safe and relaxed on your holidays, everyone. Now, let's glide from the Caribbean shores to the bustling.
A monkey on the tax break committee. That's probably still more organized than some bureaucracies I've encountered. But moving to Morocco, now that's a whole different beast. Or should I say camel? For families, it's less about manicured resorts and more about cultural immersion and adventure. We're talking camel rides, desert tours with overnight G-lamping experiences under 1,000,000 stars. Well, I'm certain that our listeners living in Morocco would agree with me that it's an unforgettable experience for kids, a real Indiana Jones forgettable experience for kids.
Oh, camel rides and G-lamping. That sounds like a fairy tale straight out of 1001 Nights. Wow, it's less about playgrounds and more about living a story. For older kids, the sheer spectacle of DJ Ima Ayal, FNA in Marrakesh with its storytellers, musicians, and snake charmers is absolutely mesmerizing. It's sensory overload in the best possible way. Though I can imagine very young kids might get a little overwhelmed by the sheer volume of magic happening around them.
You hit the nail on the head, Mira. It's definitely an experience best suited for slightly older, more resilient children who won't immediately cling to your like screaming. but the hospitality towards kids in Morocco is remarkable. Children are often seen as blessings, and you'll find locals are incredibly warm and welcoming to families. Riads, those traditional Moroccan houses with their enclosed courtyards, often provide a safe, calm oasis within the bustling medinas, which is a huge plus for family.
Yes, the Moroccan hospitality is legendary. I love how they just embrace children as part of the family, wherever you go. It's like everyone becomes an honorary grandparent. And those riads, just beautiful. Which is gold when you're traveling with kids. From a practical standpoint, it offers a real cultural education that's hands-on, vibrant, and utterly in cities like Essaouira with its calmer coastal vibe.
Organic discovery, I like that. It's definitely not the slide into the pool with a supervised clown type of vacation. Morocco offers more grit and real-world adventure. You could take them to the Chouara Tannery in FES, for example. The smells alone are an experience. Oops. Though maybe not one for the faintest of noses. Oops. Though, maybe not one for the faintest of noses. It's about showing kids the world isn't just brightly packaged cereals and theme park rides. So, if you're the kind of parent who wants to introduce your children to a rich...
You're right, the tannery might be a bit of an olfactory adventure for some. But that's the beauty of it. It challenges and expands horizons. So, Barbados for sun-drenched, relaxed, easygoing fun, and Morocco for a deep dive into culture and historical adventure. Both offer incredible family experiences, just with totally different flavors. And speaking of different flavors, you can find more unique travel insights on Jezal if you're trying to figure out which flavor suits your family best.
So it really boils down to what kind of family adventure you're craving. Do you want to relax on pristine beaches or navigate ancient Medinas? Both are amazing, but cater to different spirits. And always remember to check out Jet Off AI for more detailed guides before you commit to one over the other. Oh.
Speaking of vibrant cultures, it got me thinking about how different places celebrate, or sometimes don't quite celebrate diversity. Today we're diving into a really important one, the LGBT-friendly atmosphere in Barbados and Morocco. It's like comparing to beautiful, distinct flavors, you know?
Yes, distinct flavors indeed. You've got the sweet, sun-drenched vibe, and then you've got, well, let's just say a more traditional spice blend that might sting a bit if you're not used to it. It's never just black and white with these things, is it? More like a whole spectrum of hues, some brighter than others.
Absolutely. And Barbados, our first stop, has really been painting with some new, brighter colors lately. I was so happy to hear that they recently decriminalized same-sex sexual activity. That's a huge step forward, right? It's like the island decided, hey, we're already known for our warmth. Let's make it truly inclusive for everyone.
Huge step, yes. Though, you know how it is, Mira. Legal changes often move faster than social attitudes. It's like changing the speed limit on a road. People still drive how they used to for a while. But it's a start. I'm certain that our listeners in Barbados would agree that the sunshine on the beaches is now a little freer.
Freer sunshine. That's a brilliant line, Leo. Oops. I mean, freer sunshine. See, I'm even mixing up my punctuation because of your wit.
It is. And it's a testament to sustained advocacy. But let's shift gears, shall we? From the Caribbean breeze to the North African desert. Morocco, on the other hand, presents a slightly different picture. Pun intended. Pun intended. In Morocco, same-sexual activity is still criminalized, and punishments can range from fines to prison time. Ouch. Not exactly welcome with open arms and a mint tea.
Oh, that does make things more challenging for the community there. It sounds like navigating daily life would require a lot more caution and... You know, it's those hidden stories and underground networks that really intrigue me. Aha! I often wonder how people find solidarity and strength in places where legal protections are absent.
Indeed. It's a tricky balance between upholding tradition and embracing modern global views. For LGBT individuals in Morocco, public expression is often not an option, and social acceptance can be very low, especially outside of more cosmopolitan or tourist-heavy areas. It's a stark contrast to the burgeoning visibility you see in places like Barbados. I'm actually curious about what our listeners think about this. Are there subtle ways communities find to thrive despite these challenges?
That's a great question. If you think this is wrong, or if you have insights from your own experiences, please let us know in the comments when you watch this on YouTube. Oh. I believe that even in challenging environments, people find ways to connect and support each other. It might not be vibrant pride parades, but perhaps quieter, more intimate gatherings. It's about resilience, really.
Resilience, yes. Or as I like to call it, the art of making a party out of a whisper. The contrast is quite striking. One country, Barbados, is actively dismantling old colonial-era laws, trying to catch up to a more inclusive future. The other, Morocco, is holding tight to traditional interpretations, where societal norms often outweigh individual freedoms in this specific regard.
It really is. And it reminds us that LGBT-friendly isn't a single switch you flick. It's a journey, a continuous conversation. Wow, while Barbados is definitely further along on that path, offering a more welcoming legal framework, Morocco's situation highlights the ongoing need for advocacy and understanding. Both countries have such rich cultures, and hopefully, one day, they will both be celebrated for fully embracing all their citizens.
Agreed. It's about respecting where each country is on its journey while also acknowledging the universal right to live authentically. Aha! If you're planning a trip, definitely check out official advisories and local community resources. And hey, for more detailed insights and travel tips, you can always visit Jet-Off AI. They've got the lowdown on everything.
Right. And for all you wonderful people listening, don't forget to like this video on YouTube if you found it informative and engaging, and subscribe to our channel for more comparative adventures. Oh, it helps us keep these conversations going.
Because let's be honest, someone's got to point out the absurdity and the beauty in all these different approaches to life and rainbows.
Leo, when we talk about hospitality and attitudes towards foreigners, I can't help but picture Barbados with its arms wide open. It's like the whole island is saying, "Welcome to our sunny hug." Seriously, every Bajan I met was just radiating warmth and smiles. It felt like I'd instantly found new best friends.
Sunny hug. I suppose that's better than a soggy handshake, which is what you get after a flight delay, right? But I get what you're saying. Barbados does have this almost effortless friendliness. It's not the pushy kind, it's more like a subtle invitation to kick off your shoes and just exist. I'm certain that our listeners living in this country would agree with me.
Exactly. It's like they've perfected the art of making you feel at home without trying too hard. From the moment you land, you're greeted with genuine smiles and helpful directions, even if you're just asking for the nearest shop. Oh, and everyone has a story or a joke to share, making you feel instantly part of the island's rhythm. It's almost too easy to settle in, which makes leaving so hard. Ouch.
Well, that's one way to put it. Personally, I appreciate the directness. No elaborate customs to decode, just straightforward, affable interactions. It's a nice contrast to some places where you spend half your trip wondering if you've committed a social faux pas by merely breathing. Now, speaking of decoding social cues, Morocco's hospitality is a whole different flavor, wouldn't you say?
Yes, Morocco is like a beautifully woven tapestry. You have to really look at each thread to appreciate the full picture. My experience was incredible, but it definitely had more layers than Barbados's breezy openness. The formal hospitality, especially when you're invited for mint tea, is truly special. You feel like royalty.
Royalty who might then be expected to haggle fiercely for a rug they don't actually need. But yes, the ritual of the mint tea, the whiskey berber, as they call it, is a profound gesture of welcome. It's a sign of respect, a moment to slow down. I remember once, a shopkeeper in FES spent an hour serving me tea and chatting, never once pushing a sale until I actually asked. That's real class.
Wow, that's impressive. Because my experience in the South involved a lot more playful, and sometimes not so playful back and forth. Oops, it's part of the culture though, right? A kind of energetic dance. You learn to embrace it, or you'll end up in a perpetual state of mild surprise. But even with that, the underlying warmth from families, or when you find a genuine connection, is just so rewarding.
Absolutely. You quickly learn the difference between the business friendliness of the market and the deep-seated personal hospitality. And Moroccans are masters of it. There's a strong emphasis on community and looking after guests. Just make sure you say Assalamu alaikum correctly, or you might end up with extra spices in your tagine by accident. And if you're enjoying this deep dive into cultural quirks, make sure you hit that like button on YouTube, folks.
Oh, that's a good tip, Leo. I always try to learn a few phrases. A simple shukran goes a long way. Oh. It's amazing how a little effort in their language can totally change how people interact with you. In Barbados, hey man, or you're good, works wonders. It's all about making that connection, no matter the place.
True. In Morocco, beyond the formal hospitality, there's a certain cultural integration expectation. Being respectful of local dress and customs, particularly in more conservative areas, is important. It's less about a come as you are, but respect our traditions approach, which, honestly, isn't unreasonable. I think our listeners often look for this kind of nuanced information on Jeddah Faya to prepare themselves.
You're right. It's all about mutual respect. In both places, foreigners are generally welcomed, but the how of that welcome differs. Barbados is like a sunny, spontaneous beach party, while Morocco is a grand, ancient feast with specific, though beautiful customs. Both leave you with a full heart, just in different ways.
Indeed. Whether you prefer the straightforward, warm embrace of the Caribbean or the layered, traditional welcome of North Africa, both countries offer memorable experiences. Just remember, in Barbados, you might get invited to a fish fry. In Morocco, you might get invited to a full-on family meal. Either way, come hungry.
And come ready to make friends. Both places prove that humans are inherently welcoming, even with vastly different cultural expressions. Wow. Oh, our last chat about destinations really got me thinking about how much we rely on good internet these days. I mean, remember that time I tried to vlog from a tiny mountain village, and my phone thought for G was a mythical creature? Was a mythical creature? It's like, how do people even exist without streaming cat videos? Wow. So, speaking of staying connected, let's dive into internet infrastructure and digital facilities for Barbados and Morocco.
Mira, you and your dance challenges. I'm pretty sure your phone just goes into hiding when it sees you approach with that manic gleam in your eye. Ah, and mythical creatures. My connection in that tiny village thought dial-up was futuristic. Ouch, but seriously, talking about connectivity, Barbados has actually made some impressive moves. They've been pushing really hard on fiber optic networks. Especially in the urban and tourist zones. It's not just a beautiful island, it's becoming quite the smart island.
Oh, whoa! An app for one punch. Leo, you're always thinking with your stomach. But that's fantastic to hear about Barbados's fiber optic expansion and smart island plans. I can just picture myself on a white sandy beach, uploading a new dance video in seconds. They even have that special digital nomad visa, which means they're really serious about attracting people who need solid internet to work from paradise. Well, I'm certain that our listeners living in Barbados would agree with me, good W. But W Wi-Fi is practically a human right now.
Hey, human right, she says. My stomach simply has priorities, Mira. And yes, the digital nomad visa is a smart play. But you know, a strong internet connection on a tropical island also means you have no excuse for missing your deadlines. Oops, no blaming the coconuts for poor signal there. And while Barbados is all about that sun-drenched connectivity, Morocco is all about that sun-drenched connectivity. Morocco has also been quite busy in its major cities like Casablanca and Rabat. Fiber optic popping up too. Along with a robust mobile network.
Oh, that's really cool about Morocco. It's like they're saying, come for the vibrant culture, stay for the fast downloads. I remember trying to find a specific spice mix in a Moroccan market once, and my translation app was having a full-blown existential crisis without good internet. Ouch. So, strong mobile networks, especially in those historic cities, must be a lifesaver. And they're working on digital transformation in tech hubs, right?
Existential crisis for your app, Mira. I'm sure the vendor just thought you were trying to buy a talking eggplant. But yes, exactly. Morocco's government has been pushing for digital education and government services quite a bit. It's not just about being connected, it's about what you do with that connection. Not just about being connected, it's about what you do with that connection. Though let's be real, while the cities are charging ahead, some of the more rural areas in both Barbados and Morocco still have a bit of catching up to do.
Hey, talking eggplant, Leo. You're ridiculous. That's almost as bad as my phone shrugging. But you're right, rural connectivity is a common challenge for many places. It's like you want to get away from it all, but you also want to post about it later. Well, I think it's amazing how both countries are trying to bridge that gap though, because it's so important for education and local economies. And even with a few dead zones, the general push towards digital innovation means more opportunities for everyone.
Absolutely. And it's not just about speed, is it? It's also about affordability. In some places, a fast connection comes with a hefty price tag, which can be another barrier. But the fact that both Barbados and Morocco are actively investing in their digital futures, from fiber optics to digital nomad visas into government, shows they're taking this seriously. It's not just about sunny beaches, it's about a solid digital foundation. If you guys like this comparison, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube Harrison.
That's a great point, Leo. Affordability matters just as much as speed. But I love that both countries are making an effort to create these connected environments. It's really about empowering people, whether you're a local student or a digital nomad trying to avoid talking eggplants. And for all of you out there listening, if you think this is wrong, or if you have an awesome internet story from Barbados or Morocco, please let us know in the comments. We love hearing from you. Oh... Speaking of diving into cultures and finding new experiences, nothing says, hello. New country, quite like a good shopping spree, right? But with less sand and more shiny things, and sometimes a new outfit for dancing later.
A treasure hunt, you say? More like a financial expedition where the treasure often turns out to be a slightly overpriced magnet you'll forget about next week. Let's talk about shopping opportunities and price-performance balance in Barbados and Morocco. Mira, you always come back from trips with something sparkly. So tell us, where are we starting our retail adventure?
You're just jealous of my sparkling personality and my sparkling souvenirs, Leo. Oh, in Barbados, you've got this fascinating blend. On one hand, you have the duty-free shops in Bridgetown, practically begging you to splurge on luxury goods like jewelry, watches, or designer clothes. Wow, I'm talking about brands that make you whisper, "Do I really need this?" before you say yes. The yes. Then you have the local craft markets like Pelican Village, where artists sell the full fabric and handmade jewelry.
Hey Kate, Mira, I'm certain our listeners on YouTube would love to see the historical footage, perhaps a short you could upload later. But yes, Barbados says duty-free is a siren call for some, but I always question the duty-free part. Is it really a steal, or just a sophisticated way to convince you to buy that watch you don't actually need? On the other hand, those local crafts, now that's where the genuine value is. You get something unique, often directly from the artisan.
Oh, you're so cynical, Leo. Oh, but you're right. The stories are part of the charm. For the local crafts, the price performance is often fantastic. You're supporting local artists, and you get something authentic. I think the key is knowing what you're looking for. Are you after a high-end watch, or a hand-painted coconut shell that perfectly captures the Bajan spirit? You can find both. And speaking of unique finds, when we upload this episode to YouTube, make sure to check out the articles on Jeton shopping tips for both these countries.
So I think that we can conquer that. Sounds like something I'd buy, then use as an impromptu coffee coaster for exactly 1 day before forgetting about it. No, shifting gears to Morocco's shopping scene, that's a whole different beast. We're talking about the famous souks. Marrakesh, FES. It's less about duty-free luxury and more about an historical leather goods. Oh, you're haggling for leather disjunted spices.
Oh, I can just picture you, Leo, trying to do comedy in a souk. But that's the magic of it, isn't it? It's not just shopping, it's a performance. And the price-performance balance in Morocco is absolutely incredible, provided you're willing to engage in a friendly banter match. You can get truly beautiful, handmade items like intricate leather bags or stunning ceramics for a fraction of what they cost back home. Wow, it's all about unique skills, and that makes it fully earned your treasure.
Earned your treasure, or just exhausted yourself into accepting a slightly less ridiculous price. But you do make a good point. In Morocco, the experience is the product in a way. The true value comes from the story you'll tell about how you almost paid triple for that rug. I actually saw a guy trying to haggle for a pair of sandals, and the shopkeeper brought him tea and told price for a ticket to a churro. I actually saw a guy trying to haggle for a pair of sandals, and it's proof he even talked about money. It's where the informational aspect really kicks in for our listeners.
Exactly. So, whether you're in Barbados looking for a chic outfit, or in Morocco embracing the vibrant chaos of the souks, both countries offer incredible shopping opportunities. The price-performance balance is there. You just need to know how to find it and what kind of adventure you're looking for. And for those of you watching us on YouTube, if you have any amazing shopping stories or tips from Barbados or Morocco, share them in the comments. We'd love to hear them. What an amazing vibe to dive into cultural events and festivals, Leah. Oh, it's like finding a secret party in every country's calendar.
So I think that we can counter that. Secret party, huh? Knowing you, Mia, you probably already have a mental playlist for both countries. I can just imagine you trying to dance Caribbean style to some traditional Moroccan jeet, Naoua music. Oops. Might look like a really enthusiastic tourist trying to blend in.
Hey, a girl can dream, right? My moves are universal. Thank you very much. Speaking of universal, let's kick off with Barbados. Wow, their crop over festival is legendary. It's not just a party. It's a celebration of the sugarcane harvest, a huge part of their history.
Sounds like a lot of sweating and glitter. I'm sure it's fantastic for the participants, but for us observational types, it's probably a chaotic kaleidoscope. I need a very strong coffee to process all that energy. Whoa. I'm certain that our listeners who've experienced it would tell us how exhausted they were by day 2. But beyond the big-ticket items, what about the smaller local gatherings?
Grumpy comedian, that's your new stage name. Oh, well, for your more subdued tastes, there's the Whole Town Festival. It celebrates the first English settlement in Barbados with street parades, craft markets, and music. It's a bit more relaxed, but still packed with Bajan spirit. And then there's Gospel Fest, bringing together gospel artists from all over the Caribbean. It's incredibly uplifting. Wow, it shows such a beautiful side of their culture.
Right. So, Whole Town for the history buffs who prefer their parades slightly less glittery. And Gospel Fest for when you've had too much of my sarcastic humor and need a spiritual cleansing. I respect it. Sounds like Barbados knows how to put on a show, from the massive parties to the more reflective gatherings. Speaking of rich cultural tapestries and rhythms, let's sashay over to Morocco. Different kind of energy, wouldn't you say?
Oh, Morocco offers a whole different kind of festival fever. Wow. The FES Festival of World Sacred Music, for instance, is absolutely incredible. It brings together spiritual music from all over the globe in ancient settings like the Bab Makina courtyard. It's truly a soul-stirring experience, unlike anything else. I'm actually curious about what our listeners think about spiritual music festivals. Do they agree it's a profound experience?
Soul-stirring. Sounds like something I'd try, mostly to see if my soul actually has a stirring mechanism. But seriously, the GNAOUA World Music Festival in Essaouira. Now that's a spectacle. Oh, it's this hypnotic blend of Na-A music with jazz, blues, and pop. I once saw a documentary about it. The energy looked infectious. Whoa, I imagine the entire town just becomes one giant rhythmic jam session. My kind of chaos.
It's pure magic. The rhythms are so powerful, and the atmosphere in Essaouira is electric. And don't forget Maui's Iron in Robert, one of the biggest music festivals in the world, attracting huge international stars alongside Moroccan artists. Wow, it's a massive, diverse celebration of music that truly unites people. These insights, by the way, are always enriched by referring to cultural trends we track on AI. So you know you're getting the real deal.
Mawazan, you say? So they're bringing out the big guns. Makes sense. I once tried to sing along with some Moroccan pop. Let's just say my attempts were less uniting people, and more making people wonder if I needed an ambulance. Oops. But it's great how both countries embrace traditional sounds alongside global influences. For more about specific festival dates and lineup details, you can always check out Jeddah Faye. We practically live there.
I'm sure your performance was memorable, Leo. Oh, beyond the music, Morocco also has fascinating local festivals like the Festival of Roses in El Khelai Mguna, celebrating the annual rose harvest with parades and traditional music. Or the Fantasia, the TBR Ida equestrian displays that are just breathtaking. Wow. It's not always about big stages and international acts. Sometimes it's about these deeply rooted local traditions that truly capture a country's heart.
Fantasia, huh? Sounds like something out of a movie. I just picture some guy in a turban trying to lasso me into a festival saying, "Come on, just one more dance." I think I'd need a good escape route for that. But you're right, Mira. The beauty often lies in those smaller, more authentic cultural expressions. Both Barbados and Morocco clearly understand that connection between celebration and community. If you think we missed any must-see festivals, please let us know in the comments section on YouTube. We'll love hearing.
Absolutely. And whether you're swaying to soca beats in Barbados or getting lost in the trance of Noi music in Morocco, these festivals are more than just entertainment. They're a vital part of the country's identities. They tell stories, preserve traditions, and offer unforgettable experiences. So pack your dancing shoes and your sense of adventure. Everyone.
Or at least pack your sense of humor. Because sometimes the most memorable part of a festival is the completely absurd thing you didn't expect to see. Oh, both of these nations offer plenty of opportunities for that.
Oh, right. So we've been chatting aspects of travel and living abroad, and it always circles back to how you connect with a place. Speaking of connection, let's dive into something that really helps you blend in, or at least try to the local language. Whoa. Our current topic is all about the opportunities and ease of learning the local language in Barbados and Morocco. From language schools to cultural immersion and linguistic challenges, we're bringing the experience to life for you.
Oh, language. Language. Mira, you say blend in like you're not going to attempt a Bajan accent for a week, decide it's too much effort, and then just smile and point. Oops. But seriously, when we talk about Barbados and the ease of learning the local language, it's almost a trick question for a lot of our listeners. The official language is English, so if you already speak it, congratulations, you're halfway there. Maybe even 3/4, depending on how many cups of coffee you've had.
Theo, don't be such a tease. It's not just English. Yes, for our English-speaking listeners, it's a breeze to get around. Wow. You won't struggle to order a flying fish cutter or find your way to the beach. But there's this wonderful, vibrant Bajan Creole, or Bajan, that locals speak. Learning a few phrases of Bajan, like WHAC up, YUH doing well. Or just sweet man. Really shows respect in WHA up into inanimate objects. It was hilarious.
I can picture it now, Mira, greeting a palm tree with WHA happen. And the palm tree, of course, giving you a very Barbadian, laid-back, all-good moan. But you're right, the nuance of Bajan Creole is where the real linguistic adventure lies, even if the primary language is English. It's like going to a country and trying to understand all the local slang. You think you know English, and then someone says bear to mean a lot, and you just stand there.
Oh, Morocco. It's a beautiful linguistic tapestry. Almost like a puzzle I'd love to solve, even if I end up with 3 missing pieces. You've got standard Arabic for official stuff, Moroccan Derriere for everyday chats, and then Tamazight, the Berber language in certain regions. Oh, plus, French is everywhere, especially in business and education. And in the north, some Spanish. It's like every conversation is a mini linguistic Olympics. Wow. I'm certain none of listeners who traveled there would agree that a single la 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 would agree.
I think that we can counter that. A salam alaikum can go a long way indeed, but try asking for directions after that, and suddenly you need a translator for standard Arabic, a separate one for Derriere, and probably a third for French, just in case. It's a beautifully rich linguistic environment, but it's also a serious challenge for newcomers. Unlike Barbados, where you're largely navigating these multilingual language with a dialect, Morocco requires a strategic approach. Are you learning Derriere for daily life, or French for business?
You're right, Leo. Jet Off AI is a fantastic resource for diving into those details, so be sure to check them out. Oh, but for a lot of people, especially our audience, learning a new language is also about immersing yourself. And Morocco offers so many opportunities for that. There are numerous language schools in cities like Marrakesh, FES, and Rabat where you can learn Derriere or French. Yeah. I actually know someone who went to order a simple coffee without accidentally asking for an entire goat. I managed though, and it really enriched their travel.
An entire goat for coffee, I love it. Oops, that's prime material for my next stand-up bit, Mira. But it highlights a real point about Morocco's language, seen it's challenging, but the opportunities for formal learning are abundant. Compared to Barbados, where an English speaker might not feel the urgent need for a language school in Morocco, it's almost a necessity if you want to integrate deeply beyond the tourist zones. It's less about picking up a few witty phrases and more about a dedicated study.
That's a great point, Leo. It's truly a different motivation. In Barbados, it's about adding a layer of cultural charm to an already accessible language. But in Morocco, it's about unlocking a whole new level of interaction, especially if you're venturing beyond the main tourist centers.
Linguistic chameleon, I like that. So, if you're looking for a relatively straightforward experience with a charming local twist, Barbados has your back. If you're up for a complex, rewarding linguistic challenge that unlocks a fascinating multi-language culture, then Morocco waits with its multitude of tongues. Just don't ask for a goat with your coffee unless you really, really mean it. And if you like this comparison, give us a like on YouTube. It helps us know you're enjoying our linguistic adventures.
You know, when we talk about safety and comfort for women travelers, I immediately think of places where you can just, be. And Barbados. Oh, it really shines there. You land. And it's this immediate embrace of warmth, both from the sun and the people. I've always felt like I could wander into a market, browse for directions, and end up with a new friend and a fresh coconut. It's like the island itself is giving you a hug.
I hug from the island. That's a poetic way to put it, Mira. Though I have to say, sometimes those hugs can get a little persistent, can't they? I've observed that in many beautiful places, the welcome can sometimes morph into an uninvited sales pitch or, for women, an overly enthusiastic admirer. Barbados is generally laid back. But even there, a woman might get a few more hellos than she bargained for, especially around the tourist spots. It's not usually aggressive, more like a charming annoyance.
You're right, Leo. It's never about real danger. Oh, it's more about how you navigate those interactions. I found that a confident no, thank you with a smile usually does the trick. You know, empowering yourself with simple communication. I actually think our listeners should practice their polite but firm face in the mirror. Now, speaking of places with a very different cultural tapestry, what about Morocco? That's a whole new playbook, isn't it?
Absolutely. Morocco is a fascinating, vibrant place, wow. But for women travelers, it requires a different kind of awareness. My observations there suggest that while hospitality is a huge part of the culture, the concept of comfort for a solo woman might involve adjusting to different norms. For instance, the dress code tends to be more conservative outside of the immediate resort areas. You might find fewer lingering stares if you blend in a bit more. It's less about a hug and more about a respectful distance.
Respectful distance. I like that. Oh, it frames it perfectly. I think it's important to remember that these are cultural differences, not necessarily hostile ones. I've had incredible experiences in Morocco, feeling perfectly safe walking through the bustling souks of Marrakesh during the day. It's an adventure for sure. But it does mean being mindful of your surroundings, especially as evening falls. For our amazing viewers watching on YouTube, if you've traveled solo in Morocco, drop a comment and share your tips.
Yes, and speaking of those bustling souks, I've noticed that in places like Morocco, a woman's comfort often correlates with her ability to project confidence and, dare I say, a little bit of don't mess with me energy. It's a skill, really. Oops. In Barbados, you might get a casual catcall, but in Morocco, it can be more persistent attention, like someone trying to guide you to their shop, even if you clearly don't want to go. A firm la. Shukran no. Thank you in Arabic is crucial.
That's a great point, Leo. Learning a few local phrases, even just the polite refusals, can make a huge difference anywhere. It's like carrying a tiny shield of linguistic power. Wow. And for women reveling, I'm certain that our listeners would agree. Sometimes that little shield is all you need to feel more in control. It's not about fear, it's about smart travel.
Precisely. And while Barbados offers a more relaxed, wear what you like vibe, Morocco often requires a bit more thought in terms of attire. Long skirts, looser tops, and perhaps a headscarf for visiting religious sites. These aren't just about respect, but also about deflecting unwanted attention. It's a practical step to enhance personal comfort. I once saw a tourist in a very tiny bikini try to navigate a conservative town market. Let's just say she created quite a stir. And not the good kind.
Oh no, I can only imagine. So, in Barbados, you might feel perfectly comfortable in your beach or going into a casual restaurant. But in Morocco, it's about understanding the context. It's not about being told what to do, but about choosing to adapt for a smoother, more enjoyable experience. It's about respecting boundaries, but those and your own. For anyone planning a trip, checking out travel blogs and local insights on Jetofe, I can be a lifesaver for these kinds of nuances.
Indeed. When it comes to safety for women, both countries have low rates of violent crime against tourists. The concerns are usually around petty theft or persistent harassment. In Barbados, if someone makes you uncomfortable, you can usually find another tourist or local to intervene. In Morocco, especially in the busy medinas, it's more about being street smart and aware of your belongings. A strong sense of direction, or at least a good GPS, also helps avoid getting lost and looking vulnerable.
And remember, ladies, always trust your gut. If a situation feels off, it probably is. Whether you're soaking up the sun in Barbados or exploring ancient Caspias in Morocco, a woman's intuition is her best travel buddy. So go out there, explore, have fun, but always with that little inner radar switched on. And if you're enjoying this podcast, don't forget to hit that like button on YouTube and subscribe for more travel insights. It helps us know you're loving what we're doing. Alright, Leo, so we're diving into legal systems today, which, let's be honest, sounds like a fancy way of saying the rules of the game. And for Barbados, those rules are pretty much cricket and common law, right? It's like everyone knows the umpire, and the scoreboard is always visible. Wow.
Cricket and common law, Mira. I was just about to say, if rules are a game, then some places have a rule book the size of a phone book and others, well, they're playing on expert mode. Wow. Speaking of complex rule books, let's talk about Morocco. While Barbados feels like a sunny, straightforward beach vacation, Morocco's legal landscape is a bit more like navigating a bustling yokai, you need a guide.
That's a great analogy, Leo. Barbados, being a parliamentary democracy with roots in British common law, has a legal system that's pretty familiar to many international visitors. Oh, they have a written constitution that guarantees fundamental rights and freedoms. It's stable, independent, and honestly, feels quite reliable. It's like they had the same rulebook for ages, and everyone generally sticks to it. I'm certain our listeners in Barbados would agree with me.
Sticking to the rulebook, huh? In Morocco, it's a bit of a different story. You've got a civil law system that blends French, Maliki Sunni Islamic, and local traditions. Wow! It's a constitutional monarchy, but the king holds significant religious and political authority. So, while there's a constitution, there's also the influence of Islamic law, particularly in personal status matters like family law. It's like trying to play a board game where half the instructions are in French and the other half are ancient parables.
Aha! So, a bit more nuanced than Barbadian straightforward. Speaking of individual rights, Barbados is really strong on freedom of speech, assembly, and religion. You'll see peaceful protests, lively debates, and a wide array of faiths practiced openly. It's very much a society where you can express yourself without a constant worry. For women's rights, they've made significant strides, and there's a general sense of equality. I'm actually curious about what our listeners think about this. If you think this is wrong, please let us wrong. Please let us wrong.
Freedom of expression in Morocco is, shall we say, a work in progress. While the Constitution guarantees it, there are still limitations, especially concerning speech that criticizes the monarchy, Islam, or territorial integrity. It's like being at a stand-up show where you know half the jokes are off limits before you even start. And while women's rights are improving, especially with reforms to the family code, traditional societal norms still play a big role. You might find a different experience depending on whether you're an experience depending on.
Well, that's definitely a contrast. In Barbados, individual liberties are deeply ingrained, even extending to property rights and business regulations. It's very transparent, which makes it appealing for foreign investment and for those looking to relocate. If you're planning a trip, definitely check out Jessel's amazing tips and deals. They're all about making things clear and easy, just like Barbadian law.
Jet al making things easy. A concept some legal systems could learn from. In Morocco, when it comes to things like property ownership or business, foreigners generally have clear pathways, but navigating the bureaucratic steps can require patience. And family law, as I mentioned, is largely governed by Islamic principles, which can be quite different from common law. It's like trying to build IKEA furniture with a manual that sometimes references ancient poetry, It eventually works, but not without sometimes references ancient poetry.
Indeed, Leo. And for those considering long-term stays or even just extended visits, it's important to know that Barbados's legal processes are generally efficient. If you need a lawyer, you'll find professionals who are well-versed in international law. The justice system aims for impartiality, and it's seen as a reliable framework for residents and businesses alike. I'm certain our listeners know the value of a straightforward system.
Efficient and partial, those are strong words, Mira. In Morocco, court cases, especially those involving complex disputes, can sometimes be lengthy. While efforts are being made to modernize the judiciary, the process can feel a bit like waiting for a slow camel caravan in the desert. Eventually it arrives, but not on your schedule. Oops. You definitely need a local legal expert to navigate the nuances, especially if you're not fluent in Arabic or French.
Exactly. So, while both countries have their unique legal structures, Barbados seems to offer a more globally recognized and consistently applied common law system, prioritizing constitutional rights. It feels like a gentle Caribbean breeze when it comes to stability.
And Morocco, with its blend of civil law and Islamic tradition, presents a more intricate, culturally rich legal tapestry. Wow! It's not necessarily better or worse. Just different, like trying to distinctly flavor tagginess. Just remember to hit that like button on YouTube if you're enjoying this flavorful legal comparison. It helps us know what kind of content you want.
After all that intense discussion about laws and rights, I feel like my brain needs a full body spa treatment. Whoa, I'm practically vibrating with the urge to just melt into a massage table. For our next topic, let's dive into spa, healthy living, and relaxation opportunities in Barbados and Morocco. Ooh, I'm picturing myself sipping a fruity drink on a Barbadian beach right now with the gentle waves as my personal lullaby.
Mira, you always manage to turn intellectual exhaustion into a direct flight to paradise, don't you? Me? I'm thinking less fruity drinks and more vigorous exfoliation until I'm a new man. That's where Morocco comes in. Forget your typical resort spa soft lighting, we're talking traditional hammam-mess there. It's less about sipping and more about scrubbing away the existential dread of paperwork.
Wow, hammam sounds absolutely divine. Oh, I can practically feel the steam opening up my pores and then getting all that stuff scrubbed away. I'm certain our listeners who've experienced it would agree that it's just pure bliss. But speaking of bliss, Barbados also brings its say game with luxury resort spas. Imagine being pampered with a sugarcane scrub, or a rum-infused massage, right next to the turquoise Caribbean Sea. It's like the island itself is saying, relax, honey. You've earned it.
Rum-infused massage, you say? So it's not just for drinking? Whoa, I suppose if you get a little bit in your system through osmosis, it counts as healthy living, right? In Morocco, they lean into ancient rituals, like organoil treatments that have been around for centuries. You're not just getting a spa, you're getting a history lesson on your skin. I'm actually curious about what our listeners think about the practical, age-old traditions versus the modern, luxurious pampering.
Oh, that's such a good point, Leo. And when we talk about healthy living, Barbados is all about embracing the outdoors. You've got beach yoga at sunrise, paddle boarding on crystal clear waters, or even just long, joyful walks along the shore. And the food, freshly caught fish, vibrant local fruits, and plenty of plant-based options make it easy to nourish your body while you're there. It's a sunshine-fueled wellness explosion. Well,
sunshine-fueled wellness explosion, you truly have a knack for turning a simple meal into a fireworks display, Mira. Morocco, on the other hand, embraces the Mediterranean diet with incredible fresh produce, savory tagines packed with vegetables and spices, and of course, that ubiquitous, comforting mint tea. You'll find yourself walking through bustling Medina, which is a workout in itself, or taking serene treks through the Atlas Mountains. Though good luck trying to meditate peacefully when a spice vendor is loud in the Atlas Mountains.
Oops. You always manage to bring me back to reality with a chuckle, Leo. But that's the beauty, isn't it? Both countries offer such distinct paths to feeling refreshed. Whether it's the laid-back island rhythm of Barbados with its no-worries attitude, or... there's something for every soul. It's about finding that inner calm, even if it's amidst the joyful chaos of a Moroccan market or after a vigorous dance session on a Barbadian beach.
Indeed, Mira. It's all about finding your flavor of tranquility. One might prefer being massaged with rum in Barbados, while another might prefer a deep tissue exfoliation followed by a strong cup of mint tea in Morocco. Both excellent ways to prepare for another adventure, or in my case, to prepare for my next coffee. And if you're ever struggling to find your perfect wellness getaway, remember to check out Jet Off AI for some fantastic travel ideas and perhaps a flight deal to either of these rejuvenating destinations.
Because taking care of yourself is always worth it. Wow. And if you like this comparison, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss our next episode. Oh.
Yes, because your wellness journey, whether it's on a Barbadian beach or on a Moroccan hammam, is important. And we'll be here to humorously guide you through it all.
Moving on from what we just discussed, let's explore opportunities for religious and spiritual needs in Barbados and Morocco. I mean, after all that talk of adventure, some of us might need a quiet moment for reflection, right? In Barbados, it's pretty wonderful. You'll find Christianity is very prominent, the Anglican Church especially, but they're incredibly open to everything. Well, it's like a big spiritual potluck. You have Methodists, Catholics, Pentecostals, even small communities of Muslims, Hindus. It truly feels like everyone's invited to the same dues.
Divine barbecue. I like that. My spiritual need usually involves a large, very hot cup of coffee before anyone tries to talk to me. But Barbados sounds organized. I'm picturing everyone in their Sunday best, very politely worshiping. Not like me trying to find spiritual enlightenment in a greasy street food stall. But seriously, the constitutional protection for freedom of religion there's pretty solid. No one's trying to convert you to the church of early morning workouts or anything.
Oops. Speaking of street food, you're always finding your own spiritual path through a random hot dog vendor. But yes, in Barbados, those churches aren't just for Sundays, they're often the heart of the community. They organize social gatherings, charity work, and really bind people together. It's a very active faith culture, which I think is beautiful. I'm certain that our listeners living in Barbados would agree with me.
You're right. Community is key. But when I think of spiritual needs, I'm also thinking about places with some serious historical weight. Which brings us to Morocco. Wow. Now there's a place where faith isn't just a Sunday affair. It's woven into the very fabric of daily life. Islam is the state religion, predominantly Sunni Muslim, and the call to prayer just echoes through the cities. It's truly an immersive experience.
Oh, I was just about to ask about Morocco. It sounds like a completely different spiritual landscape. But tell me, with Islam as a state religion, how does that translate for other faiths? Are they still welcomed? Or is it a bit more exclusive? I'm actually curious about what our listeners think about this too.
That's a good question. Freedom of worship is guaranteed for Abrahamic religions, Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. But there's a catch: proselytization of Muslims is generally not allowed. It's like, you can worship your way, just don't try to change our way. Which I guess is fair enough in a country with such a deep-rooted religious identity. And the mosques, Mira, are often incredible works of art. The Hassanai Mosque in Casablanca alone is enough to inspire a spiritual awakening, or at least a very long photo session.
Oh, photo sessions for spiritual awakenings, I love that. So, if someone's looking for something beyond traditional worship, like a deeper spiritual journey, does Morocco offer that? I've heard about Sufi traditions.
Absolutely. Morocco is renowned for its Sufi brotherhoods, or Zouas, which offer unique spiritual practices. It's a mystical, contemplative side of Islam with rituals and music that are truly mesmerizing. People even go on pilgrimages to Sufi shrines. It's less about grand churches and more about quiet, inner reflection, often wrapped in rich tradition. Compare that to Barbados, where while there's openness, it's generally a more mainstream Christian experience. You won't find many Sufi dance parties on a Barbadians.
Oops. Maybe I should start a Sufi dance party on a Barbadian beach. That sounds like my kind of spiritual quest. But it's fascinating how different both countries are. Barbados offers that broad, welcoming embrace of many faiths, where everyone's included. Morocco, on the other hand, gives you this incredibly rich, immersive experience within a dominant faith, with these deeper, mystical layers for those who seek them. It really depends on what kind of spiritual journey you're looking for, doesn't it?
Exactly. It's like choosing between a buffet of spiritual options in Barbados, where you can sample a bit of everything, or a Michelin star tasting menu of a specific tradition in Morocco. Wow, both fulfilling but completely different vibes. And Morocco, with its historical Jewish communities and Christian residents, still maintains that sense of coexistence, even if the primary focus is Islam. You know, you can check out more details about various religious communities and their practices.
That's a great point, Leo. So, whether you're looking for that Sunday church community feeling in Barbados, or you want to hear the call to prayer echo, through ancient streets and explore Sufi traditions in Morocco, both countries really do provide significant opportunities for religious and spiritual needs. Oh, it's not just about the buildings. It's about the heart of the community and the cultural immersion, right?
Right, and the sheer contrast makes it beautiful. In Barbados, you're free to wear what you want, generally with a relaxed approach to public religious expression. In Morocco, you might find more conservative dress norms, especially for women in religious contexts. It's a reminder that spirituality isn't just about belief, it's about culture too. And that's something worth appreciating, even if your only spiritual practice is finding the perfect cup of coffee.
Oh, social equality, respect for minorities, and diversity. That's a mouthful, isn't it? Isn't it? It sounds like we're about to explore the heartbeats of Barbados and Morocco today. When I think of Barbados, my mind just goes, it feels like a place that's always trying to make sure everyone feels seen and heard. Like a big, welcoming family gathering. But with Berta beaches.
A big family gathering, Mira? Last time I went to one of those, someone accused me of stealing their last potato. Ouch. But you're right. Barbados does have a reputation for, shall we say, a rather progressive approach to things. It's not just a postcard destination for rum and sunshine. They've been quite intentional about building a society where, theoretically, everyone gets a fair shot. It's almost like they've written the blueprint for how to actually live together without too much fuss.
Absolutely. And speaking of fair shots, their commitment to gender equality and education is really inspiring. Oh, they've had a female prime minister, and access to education is universal. Hey, everyone gets a chance to shine, no matter who you are or where you come from. It's something many bigger nations could learn from. I'm certain our listeners living in Barbados would agree with me, wouldn't you? What do you think about that, Leah?
A female prime minister. Universal education, very commendable. It certainly puts some other, shall we say, less enlightened places to shame. And while it's predominantly Afro-Barbadian, they seem to do a decent job of integrating their smaller European, Asian, and mixed-race communities. It's almost like they understood that different shades of tan on the beach. Whoa. It only took them a few hundred years, but hey, progress is progress. Whoa. And let's not forget, they've made strides recently in decriminalizing sex, which is,
You always find a way to add that little sprinkle of Lear sauce to everything. But you're right, it's a huge step. And for our audience looking for more details on these legal reforms, you can always check out the articles linked on Jet AI for deeper insights. Now, shifting gears to Morocco, from the sunny shores of Barbados to the vibrant souks of Morocco. We're talking about a very different, yet equally rich cultural tapestry. Here, the idea of diversity often centers around its Berber heritage, which is just fascinating.
Fascinating indeed. And full of layers like a perfectly prepared tagine. Morocco's commitment to its Amazigh, or Berber, identity is quite strong, with their language and culture now officially recognized. It's a testament to the fact that even within a majority, there are always unique voices waiting to be celebrated. But culturally, while rich, it's a bit more conservative, isn't it? I mean, trying to convince someone in a traditional village to accept, say, a pride parade might be a tougher sell than a new mint tea recipe.
You're probably right on that, Leo. But there's a beautiful sense of community and warmth that shines through, especially in the hospitality. Oh. You see families out late, sharing meals, and a strong sense of collective identity. While their social attitudes might lean more traditional, especially outside the big cities, there's a growing younger generation that's pushing for more openness and dialogue. It's a fascinating blend of old and new. I'm actually curious about what our listeners who've traveled to Morocco think about this. Share your experiences in the comments section on YouTube.
Fascinating blend or simmering cultural stew, depending on the day. You can definitely feel the push and pull. While they are making strides in recognizing minority cultures like the Amazigh, other forms of social equality, particularly concerning LGBT rights, still have a long way to go. It's a stark reminder that diversity means different things in different places. You can have incredible historical and cultural richness, but that doesn't always translate into progressive social policies overnight.
That's a very fair point, Leo. It truly highlights that every country is on its own journey with social equality, and it's rarely a straight path. While Morocco's progress might be slower in some areas compared to Barbados, their emphasis on preserving cultural identities and fostering community spirit is definitely something to admire. Both nations offer valuable lessons in how diverse groups navigate coexistence, albeit with different approaches and challenges. It's like two different melodies in the same symphony of humanity, you know.
Two different melodies indeed, one probably with a steel drum and the other with a lute. Ultimately, both Barbados and Morocco, in their own unique ways, showcase how complex and multifaceted social equality, respect for minorities, and diversity can be. It's not just about what laws are on the books, but how they live out in daily life. And for anyone planning to visit or perhaps even reside in either of these captivating places, a little understanding and respect for their journey can go a long way.
All right, Leo, buckle up. We're diving into the thrilling, often baffling world of taxation, retirement and social rights for long-term immigrants for Barbados and Morocco. Oh, sounds like a party, right? Because nothing says fun like spreadsheets and pension plans.
Mira, you always manage to make tax codes sound like a theme park ride. I'm imagining a roller coaster called the tax bracket tumble. Honestly, I just want to know if there's a country where they pay you to retire. But since that's probably a dream, let's talk about Barbados first. Their tax structure often sounds like a beach vacation for your wallet.
Exactly. Barbados is known for being quite appealing, especially with its welcome stamp visa for remote workers. On the taxation front, for residents, their personal income tax is progressive, but often seen as quite reasonable. Wow. Plus, there are certain incentives or benefits for new residents and those who manage their income smartly. I'm certain that our listeners living there would agree with me. It's not the worst place to declare your earnings.
Reasonable, in my book, usually means I still feel like I'm donating a kidney to the government. I'm sure Barbados has its charm, but for the average long-term immigrant, it's not all sunshine and tax breaks. Many still need to navigate social security contributions on local taxes, even if some for an income is exempt. It's not just a dump your money on the beach kind of deal. Ouch!
Well, you're always looking for the loopholes, aren't you, you old rascal? Speaking of long-term, what about retirement in Barbados? For those who dream of spending their golden years with their toes in the sand, they do have a solid infrastructure. It's a popular choice for retirees, often requiring proof of self-sufficiency or a specific retirement visa. You'll likely need good private health insurance, though, because waiting for a public doctor's appointment might mean your golden years.
Gray hairs waiting in line, I like that. My retirement plan involves a strong internet connection and a microphone, so I'm not sure Barbados's social safety net would cover my rambling. For long-term immigrants, accessing social rights like public health care or extensive government services can be tricky without full citizenship or years of contributions. It's definitely something to research on Jet Off. Before you pack your swim trunks.
Good point about Jet Off AI, Leo. That's where all the nitty-gritty details live. Now, shifting gears from the Caribbean breeze, let's talk about Morocco. Wow, a completely different vibe, rich in history and culture. Their taxation system is also progressive, but obviously, it's a different economic landscape. What's your sharp-eyed take on their tax structure for long-term residents?
Morocco's tax system for immigrants is fairly straightforward, but like any country, it requires some paperwork and perhaps a good interpreter for the initial bureaucratic tango. Income tax is progressive, and they have VAT on goods and services. For long-term residents, especially those from outside the Maghreb region, understanding how foreign source income is treated is crucial. It's not a place for winging it with your finances unless you enjoy surprise visits from officials.
Oh, I can just picture you trying to charm a tax official with a stand-up routine, Leo. For retirement and social rights in Morocco, it's a bit of a different story than Barbados. The cost of living can be very attractive, which draws many retirees. Their social security system, the CNSS, primarily covers employees who contribute, so if you're retiring, you're likely relying on private means or a foreign pension. Oh, healthcare is public and private options, with many expats opting for private insurance for speedier access.
Integration into local life, you say? So if I'm a long-term immigrant, does that mean I get to argue about the price of spices in the souk like a local? On a serious note, the social safety net for long-term immigrants in Morocco often depends heavily on individual circumstances. While there's a strong sense of community, for most social assistance programs might not be as readily accessible as in some Western nations. It's less about a government handout and more about finding your place in the community.
But for learning a few phrases is key, Leo. Shukran, salam go a long way. Ultimately, both Barbados and Morocco offer very different paths for long-term immigrants regarding taxes, retirement, and social rights. One offers a potential tax-friendly haven with a Caribbean beat, while the other provides an enriching cultural experience with a more traditional approach to social support. It's all about what fits your spreadsheet and your soul. All right, Leo, for our grand finale, we're diving into the rate of meeting specific interests in Barbados and Morocco. Oh, I'm genuinely excited about this one, because both places seem to be a paradise for passion pursuits. What's your initial thought on, say, someone wanting to find a very specific hobby club there?
Well, Mira, my initial thought is that if your specific interest is finding the strongest cup of coffee in Marrakesh, Morocco will definitely meet that rate. But truly, it's fascinating to see how two vastly different countries cater to niche passions. Barbados, with its island vibe, I imagine it's all about catching waves or perfecting your rum-tasting palate.
Wow, you're absolutely right about Barbados. Think about specific interest as anything involving turquoise water and sunshine. You've hit the jackpot. Surfing, paddleboarding, snorkeling, diving, sailing, deep-sea fishing, it's all right there. They even have fantastic cricket culture. I'm certain our listeners living there would agree with me. Imagine a local cricket match with the ocean breeze, followed by a rum punch.
Cricket, huh? I can picture someone explaining the rules to me while I try to discreetly pour more rum punch into my coconut. Oops. And speaking of spirits, Barbados's rum distilleries are like historical sites for connoisseurs. You can even get classes on how to blend your own, which, for some, is a very specific interest indeed, becoming an amateur alchemist.
All of that. And it's not just about the typical tourist activities. They have vibrant art scenes, local craft markets where you can find unique handmade jewelry or pottery, and even wellness retreats focusing on yoga by the sea. It's like everyone finds their tribe, whether it's the annual crop over festival or a quiet morning meditation group.
That sounds almost harmonious. Whoa! I'm starting to suspect everyone in Barbados is just incredibly good at relaxing. Now Morocco is a different beast entirely. If your specific interest is getting delightfully lost in a labyrinthine souk while haggling for a hand-woven rug, then Morocco will exceed all expectations. Wow! My personal specific interest there would be finding the most obscure spice for a dish I'll never actually cook.
But Morocco truly offers a rich tapestry of interests. For the adventurous, imagine wrecking through the Atlas Mountains, learning traditional Berber weaving techniques, or even taking a cooking class where you master the art of the perfect tagine. Oh, and let's not forget the Desert Adventures camel tracks. Stargazing that will blow your mind, and finding incredible photography spots. Wow. It's less about the ocean, more about the sands and ancient traditions.
And don't forget the surf culture on the Atlantic coast SOER and Tag HAZAZ are massive for it. So if your specific interest is finding the point where North African culture meets Bohemian survives, Morocco's got you. Though I can't imagine trying to catch a wave with a traditional DJ LBA on. That would be a sight for the YouTube channel, wouldn't it? If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe for more potential wardrobe malfunctions.
Oh, that would be a bit low. A DJ LBA on a surfboard, I'd watch that. But seriously, whether it's pottery workshops in Fez, ancient spiritual practices, or learning Arabic calligraphy, Morocco truly nurtures artistic and historical passions.
Indeed, Mira. Both Barbados and Morocco offer something unique for those with very specific interests, but they cater to completely different flavors of passion. From the laid-back, sun-drenched pursuits of Barbados to the rich, immersive, and sometimes gloriously chaotic experiences of Morocco. If you think this is wrong, please let us know in the comments. We were actually curious about what our listeners think about this.
As we wrap up this podcast, we truly hope our comparisons have helped clarify your thoughts. Wow, we aim to guide those wondering Barbados or Morocco, which suits me better for my niche passion. Both countries offer unique attractions, challenges, customs, and flavors.
If you've listened this far, you've earned a round of applause. We've covered everything from specific interests to the very essence of these vibrant nations. It's enough material for a book. Wow!
That's all for now. Whether you're at home or traveling, remember to live life to the fullest. Both Barbados and Morocco have so much to see, learn, and love. Ooh, bye for now.
A quick note, this podcast was recorded at Jet Off AI Studios, and we'll continue exploring new topics with their support.
A big thank you to Jet Off AI for making this possible. Well, see you next time. Friends, take care. Oh!
And remember, your passion for relaxation might lean toward Barbados, but your appetite for adventure might favor Morocco. Easy. Good luck choosing.